Hello and welcome everyone. How's it going? And looks like we've got the first move and a handshake. Also a blurry cam. Apparently the Wi-Fi isn't the best. But hello. How's everyone doing? It's round 3 of the Maia Open. Exciting times for Asmoada, also known as Alex. What's up, Chalato? Hello, Deshin, Fly, Jenny, Pizza, Stuckfish, Kako. We've got Alan, Joan, or Joanne. Probably Joan, if I had to guess. Yito, Vacmore. Hello, everyone. Emerton. Hopefully, I didn't miss anyone. But yeah, I actually have a couple moves on the board. I think the camera is a little bit behind. So I'm going to try and see if I can sync that up a little bit better. But we can see we've got the position. And yeah, so there's a 10-minute delay, which is why I'm a little behind, I guess. But that is a-okay. So let's see. A Sicilian on the board. So yeah, I was watching actually the first two games that Alex played just last night, doing my last minute research. And it looks like Alex had a phenomenal game one to start her tournament, getting a win with a unsound knight sacrifice, throwing a knight away, but her opponent didn't calculate the proper defense and believed her bluff, which wasn't really a bluff. It was more like a miscalculation. So, okay, did my stream crash or something? I don't know. We might have to refresh. But hopefully that doesn't happen again. It's working great. Always helpful to have Fly confirming, just good to have Fly in general. She's actually playing the Sicilian. Is this new territory for her? Let's see. Do I have to fast forward a little bit? Looks like she's played her knight out to f6. But yeah, e4. And White's playing an Alpin variation of the Sicilian, which is my personal favorite. So hopefully I can advise a little bit more. But yeah, White brought the knight out to f3. Usually you pretty much always want to go for d4 instantly. And when I say you, I really mean me. I personally like to bring the pawn to d4 after c3, which is the whole point of c3, by the way. And the most challenging line I've found against the c3 Sicilian is actually starting with d5. Because when the pawn is on c3, there's no knight that can go to c3. And d5, e takes d5, queen takes d5. Your queen's actually very strongly placed in the center on d5 because of the pawn blocking the knight going to c3. Hi, Uncle Jesse. How's it going? Good to see you. e5, e4, e5, knight f3 first. Okay, so yeah, well, I wasn't c3 immediately. Shout out again to Fly. Fly is really keeping me honest here. Okay, so knight here, and wow. We've got h3. Is that a free pawn? Could it be? No. You're going to get forked. So opponent laying out some bait, a trap for our main protagonist hero here. Will Alex fall for it? Probably not. Okay, let me fast forward this video a couple more seconds. So Alex is representing Romania, her chess federation, and her opponent, one of the natives to Portugal. Asmoada actually lived in Portugal and speaks Portuguese, as well as Romanian and some English, I've heard. But she's actually pretty fluent in English. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to communicate with her. As the saying goes, I speak English because it's the only language I know. And they speak English because it's the only language I know. So, anyways, opponent has left. Alex looks like she's looking for something or someone. Also, it's very blurry, but we'll take what we can get. It's better than nothing. I mean, you can have a fortune. Yeah, thank you, pizza. It was meant to be Portugal, Fly. See, this is the lore that I'm missing. Luckily, you guys all watched her first 2 rounds and know all of the happenings. And meanwhile, I don't. Okay, so she's made her move. An opponent immediately coming back to the board and will make his move. So knight out to c6. This is designed to block the queen check and renews the threat of taking on e4. So the opponent must defend this pawn at this point and has decided to do so with bishop to d3. And bishop to d3 is slightly awkward, blocking the d pawn that hasn't pushed to d4 yet. However, it most of the times goes back to c2, getting out of the way of the d pawn. And the queen then can come to d3. So right now there's 2 pieces in the way before the queen can make there. But bishop back to c2, pawn up to d4, and then the queen up to d3, and you're threatening things like e5 at certain stages. And it's just a solid setup for white. I like playing c3 Sicilian. This opponent didn't play c3 right away, as Fly had pointed out. So a bit of a different setup or start to this variation. Also, I want to shout out to all the other Portuguese fans out there. I know Destin is fluent. I don't know if Jenny knows Portuguese. I wouldn't put it past her. She might. Yeah, there's a lot of streamers on right now. How many streamers are... Who's watching the most streamers right now? Does anyone have a record? She's in the under 2,000. What's her score? She's 1 out of 2. Going for 2 out of 3. You're learning it, Jenny. Always impressing. So 2, Fly. Okay. You have 2 Maia streams open, Pizza? Who was the second one? Shall I guess? Is it Phoebe? Could it be Phoebe? There's also Hannah and Katarina that I've commentated for. Ooh, the camera quality got so nice, you guys. We hit a good Wi-Fi spot. Here, let me show you guys. Look at how I mean, you could just see the it's I can't look at it too long. I think it's bringing attention to it might make it nervous. Okay, but looks like Alex is about to make a move. And I still am fine-tuning the delay. You're modding 4. It's crazy, Alan. Alan's got quadruple shifts. Jesse February streaming on Notchable. Very, very awesome. W quality. What's up, JVO? 4 streams open. He's got quads. That's a saying that you would hear in a poker tournament. Okay, so Alex is going for G6, which is fianchettoing her dark square bishop. And that is very logical because in the Sicilian structure, we've got 3 pawns on dark squares in front of this bishop. So putting the bishop onto G7 seems a lot more feasible. Fewer pawns in the way. Yeah, opponent seems to be moving a lot. He's got a little name tag as well. And he's got a nice watch. Opponent 1732, FIDE. Alex unrated. Who was opponent? Carlos Trabuzzi. Or Trabuzzi, maybe. Hey, Physic. Would you have participated in this tournament had I gone? Well, I mean, why why else would I go? I don't mean it would be fun to be there just to be there, but I think I would go to play. I assume. I couldn't go all that way and not play. I think that'd be crazy. No, it's okay. The Paytas. Do I have a tournament planned? No. I should though. I feel like this tournament is a learning experience for me in that I should just go to these things. I shouldn't think about it too much. I should just be like, oh, everyone's going to be there? Okay. I don't want to miss out. So it's funny though. I heard there's another tournament. Shoregrass yesterday was mentioning that Bick and Diana are playing there as well. I forgot where he said it was. But yeah, apparently there are other tournaments happening at this. I mean, tournaments are typically held on the weekends, I feel like. So that kind of makes sense. Although this tournament, I think, is going to continue on throughout the week. I always think about that. It's like these chess players, do they not have like jobs? I guess people are taking time off from work, but that in and of itself is kind of a luxury. I certainly don't have a real job. You know, I could have gone and played and no one would have questioned me. Well, yeah, I'm playing a chess tournament. It's yeah, that makes sense. What's up, Deshgen? Okay, opponent has castled. Let's see how much I need to fast forward before he castles. You're a full-time chatter, Pizza Racer? That's the dream. And there he goes. Why aren't I in Portugal, Deshgen? Are you in Portugal? I think you are. Wait, but maybe... Actually, I don't know. Are you there? You should be. If not... Joan has Phoebe, Hannah, Katarina, Rachel, Anushka, and Tamara. Does anyone know how Kostya has done so far? Yeah, I don't know. But Jenny says he's 1 out of 2. Jenny, one of the most trusted people that I've ever known. Her word is as good as gold, if not better. I think I'd rather have Jenny's word because Jenny's word can be translated into like 8 different languages. So Jenny's like a modern day C3PO. Truly. I don't know if you've ever been compared to a fictional robot before, Jenny, but if not, I guess that's the first. Do I think Goku is better than Naruto? Now we're getting the real questions. Shout out to the user Goku underscore beat underscore Naruto 8. So I'm going to take a hunch and say that Goku is better than Naruto. You haven't, Jenny? Okay. Well, now you can say you got compared to C-3PO. Chair POV. Yeah. Players had left, but Asmoada, she's returned, and she quickly plays her move, a logical follow-up from G6. She's placing her bishop on G7, completing her fianchetto, and preparing perhaps to castle kingside, much like her opponent did. So perhaps we'll see a same-side castles game. Does anyone know why Houseline is not streaming against Sam? Did Sam get shy? That's a great question. I heard Sam didn't get a DGT board, nor Eskia. Unfortunately. I think they both should have one. Now, I don't know if Houseline got a DGT board, but I also think he should have one as well. And if he doesn't, then that's probably why they're not streaming it. Wi-Fi is down, that's why? That's rough. Yeah. Kostia's protecting his streak. Blood Cake tuning in. The chess match. Yeah. What's up, Brody? Good to see you. Joe's commentating. That means Alex will win. Well, yeah, I commentated 2 games for Phoebe, and she won both. And those ended up being the only 2 wins of her whole tournament. So that was pretty lucky for me. And then I commentated 2 games 2 days ago, both for Katarina and Hannah, and they both won. Although it came at the cost of Rachel, who was playing against Hannah and lost. But I wasn't commentating for Hannah. So in the last 4 games, I'm 4 for 4. A perfect record. If Asmoada wins, I'll be 5 out of 5. I don't remember the last game, though, before that. Also, shout out to Love Nolando. Naruto is worlds better, and Joe's opinion can be bought. Well, if this makes you guys feel better, I unfortunately don't watch either Dragon Ball Z nor, I should have said neither Dragon Ball Z nor Naruto. So, my opinion doesn't mean much. But I don't know. Is there even a universe where they could find out and fight it out? Could they be combined? Is there like a Marvel universe for anime? Whenever Joe commentates, the players win. That'd be cool. But no pressure, honestly. Yeah, I wouldn't say Sam is a shy guy. What's up, Geezer? Good to see you. Thank you. Stop jinxing, Daniel. Okay. Sounds good. If Alex loses, we could say that I jinxed myself. Or, hear me out, you guys. We could blame it on her. Alright, she castles here. Very solid move. Probably a great move, even, castling. And we should have the video and the board pretty synced up. Also, Alex, she's been rubbing her arms a lot. She's got no sleeves. So it'll be hard to play tricks without sleeves. Very questionable decision. And the playing hall might be cold. So maybe she can get a jacket or some other form of sleeves later on. Might be helpful in the end game in low time so that she can trick her opponent with something up her sleeves. Right now, though, all the information's out there. Opponent can see clearly. Still very early on in the game. No contact has been made by any of the pawns. Just both sides have one pawn on the 4th and 5th rank. The bishop did come back to c2, so definitely think d4 is the move he's going to play. If anyone thinks there's any other move out there, let me know. Because I would be surprised if he doesn't play d4. I'm going to just take it on a hunch right here. What's up, Don Mahogi? Good to see you. Imagine if the great Don Mahogi went to play. I think all the commentators would drop whatever game they're watching and just solely focus on the Don Mahogi game. We can blame it on Jenny. That's a new one. I don't think we could ever do that. Is BBQ also in the main auditorium? That's a good question. Yeah, yesterday's, or not yesterday, but on Friday when I was watching Hannah and Katarina, they were playing next to each other at the top of a stage, it seemed, or at least in the audience of a stage. You could see the stage in their background. This is a different view of the tournament hall. So I don't fully understand the layout. Oh, here she goes. I thought she would be saving it for later, but it looks like the jacket is coming on and she's about to get tricky. An opponent, he's been waiting to play d4 this whole time. He should have played it earlier before she put her sleeves on. Now, after he plays d4, she might trick him. So maybe a bit of regret on his face. He's looking around. He's getting, I think, a little nervous. He's like, uh-oh, the jacket's on. And the cool thing about having the jacket, besides being able to hide tricks up your sleeves, is that when the position gets really serious and she finally plays her trick, she can then take the jacket back off, and that's how you know she means business. No more tricks. Anyways, he has not played d4. He's instead played rook e1. So he didn't do what I thought he would do. Rook e1, and now Alex can play e5, actually. And that's the risk of not having played d4, is that Alex can make it a little bit trickier to play the move d4 by playing e5 herself. So we'll see if she plays e5, doubling down the pawn control over d4. An important square, for sure. So will she play it? Organize the boards in a circle around the great Don Mahogi game. I believe so. Probably tournament organizers. It's a real dilemma. Do you invite the great Don Mahogi to play in your event, elevating the event to a new high, or do you run the risk of bringing the Don Mahogi and then all the other players then withdraw out of fear? It's tough. It's tough hosting the Mahogi. The jacket looks beautiful. Yeah, Alex always in style, for sure. How many games do you need to play to get FIDE rating? That's a great question, Vacmore. Alex is unrated. I don't know how many games she's played, nor do I know how many she needs to play. but in my memory for USCF games, it's like I think 25 games, maybe. Any FIDE arbiters in the chat? Jenny says you need 5. Yeah, that's not that many. So after this tournament alone, Alex should have an official rating. They're sat back to back. Oh, so you can see Alex and Phoebe's camera feed. And Maya's stream is having issues. Unfortunate. Why is her rating not displayed? She is not rated. She is provisional. She's, yeah, without rating. So she will get a rating after this tournament. She's a very strong player, though. I think online she'd mentioned she's around 1800. I think Alex has had tremendous progress since she started streaming. Who do I think will win? We're rooting for Alex. And I think she has a moment here. Opponent has played Rookie 1. The DDT board has decided to stop updating. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Making sure that the moves are still relayed. And yeah, she has an opportunity to play E5. Because White didn't play D4 in the previous turn. Ooh, and neither does she. But she's played Queen to C7. And again, D4 now is the move. It's always awkward to play C3 and not D4. And when I say always, I just mean in this particular position. In this particular game. Just this one time. Just really that last move. Because Alex could have played E5, but she didn't. And maybe it's a bit of opening prep. Some opening knowledge that we can share. Why is the other guy gone? He decided to walk around. For what reason, we can only speculate. I mean, why did the guy leave the board? Wrong answers only. I don't know. He's probably checking out the stream. Making sure it's running okay. To cry after every move, you think? The jacket tech intimidated him. What's up, Zoomja? You're allowed to walk around even if it is your move, Jenny, to my understanding. And in fact, it is his move currently. Although you would argue that he left after he made his move. Anyways, I think that's him coming in here. You can tell by the way he walks. Some could even say that he's a woman's man and has no time to talk. But only if you're a Bee Gees fan. Perhaps. Martin Bot, he could be going and putting in. Imagine trying to cheat in a tournament and your bot, your engine is Martin. I don't think there'd be many complaints. There'd be some confusion. I don't think they'd be like, I don't know. Really, you need a certain level of genius to play so poorly. And also, using Martin Bot against Alex would be pretty bad strategy. Not even bold at that point, but if you've done any research, you will have known that Alex has defeated Martin Bot many times. With odds, actually. Did she beat Martin? I think I saw her beat Martin Bot with 2 pawns. Did she do it with 1 pawn? This guy, he's just like me. He's cleaning the board. If there's like a hair on the board, but it's risky though, you know. If you touch a piece, you got to move it, right? I don't know how much of a stickler Alex would be about that. That's why I like to say adjust, even if I'm not even touching the pieces. If I'm just touching the board, I'll say it just in case. Um, the opening is a Sicilian, and well, so e4, c5. This is what denotes the Sicilian defense from Alex. And then we have knight to f3, and if d4 is played immediately, this is called the open Sicilian, but he's played a c3 move here, which is kind of a delayed Alpin, or the c3 Sicilian. And essentially, the idea of c3 is to play for d4. The downside is that the knight can't go to c3. But interestingly, by delaying it, by playing knight f3 first, it puts Alex's pawn on d6, because if you start with c3, I had mentioned that the best move here is d5, taking advantage of the fact that there is no knight to c3 move with tempo. So your queen can recapture after e takes d5, and your queen's not going to get kicked anytime soon. But by playing knight to f3 first, and then d6, after c3, Alex doesn't want to play d5 because she's already pushed the d pawn. And yeah, both sides just castle. And now here, white really should follow through with that plan. You know, it's logical. The bishop's defending the pawn. The bishop comes out of the way of the pawn. And now, after castles, white should play d4. Instead, they play rook e1. And now Alex could have played e5, but didn't do that. So she plays queen to c7. And here we see now d4. And Alex has captured this pawn. Now, this capture, I personally am not the biggest fan of, because c3 is an awkward move, right? Usually you don't want to block your knights with the pawns. And by capturing this pawn, you're inviting white to take back into the center. White will maintain a two-pawn center pawn control, really. Having the pawn duo on e4 and d4 is a lovely setup for white, because it controls so much of the center. But the main point I'm trying to make is that after the c pawn takes, this frees up the c3 square for the knight. So you're really maximizing white's efficiency by making this pawn capture. Now, if you don't capture, you will have to be prepared for white to either take or to push. So she could have maybe moved this pawn, or I don't know, something else. The computer actually likes taking, but you could also play b5, maybe try to fianchetto this bishop, maybe connect your rooks, bring a rook to the c file or the d file. Might have been interesting as well. But yeah, capturing is fine. Let's see how he recaptures. He can recapture with the knight, but probably he's taking with the c-pawn, and I don't suspect him to actually think too much about this move. What would I have played instead? Yeah, it's a good question. I personally don't play the Sicilian. So taking might be best. I would consider maybe b6 or b5, moving the b pawn, maybe putting this bishop on the long diagonal. What you don't want to do is bring the bishop to e6 and get forked. Also, it's very easy for me to sit here and be like, oh, I would have played e5 before he played d4, you know, to not even allow d4. But it's like I don't even play the Sicilian, so how would I even know what I would do? It's always easier to see the eval and the top engine moves and to judge. And that's why I'm a commentator. That's why I'm not there playing. Playing it's too much. It's too hard. Okay. The upside though of taking the c3 pawn was boxing out our knight. Our knight can now go to b4, hitting the bishop and forcing our opponent to react. Now I don't think Alex will go for knight b4 because once the bishop moves or white develops, this is really kind of a one-move threat. It's a little short-sighted, and the knight doesn't have many good moves forward from there, only really backwards moves. And you might be giving your opponent free tempo later on, kicking your knight out. So we'll see what Alex ends up going for here. I want to develop this bishop to connect our rooks. I want the rooks on the C and D files. I think that is where I'd want them. So in order to do that, we have to move this bishop out of the way. And again, I don't want to go here because of this fork. I don't want to go here, or here because all of these squares are controlled by pawns. So you're either looking at d7, which is a little passive, or we're looking at moving the b pawn here. Now, that being said, whenever your opponent does get this strong pawn duo, sometimes the best thing to do is to attack it. And you're preventing your opponent from walking all over you in the center. So it likes the move e5, actually. I was looking at d5. d5, we have knight takes. But there's also pawn push. But yeah, I like e5. I'm curious. It likes this move b5, which it liked a move prior. Now, I feel like b5 is a little awkward, but it's just taking space on the queen side. Yeah, I feel like if the bishop's coming out on this diagonal, usually I'd like the pawn on just b6, but it seems the engine prefers having the extra space. And also, if the pawn's on b5, you still have this diagonal for your queen. But yeah, this is an important position for sure. Opponent seems to have won the center with the pawn duo. So we'll see if Alex contests it with one of these pawn pushes. d5 it doesn't like so much because of e5. So it's really like you have these two pawns in the center and we have two pawns in the center, but our e-pawn hasn't moved an inch. So that's why it wants us to put that second pawn into play. And that's going to give us the most space. And, you know, when the rook is on the e-file, it favors white to either push this pawn or to take, because it opens up the scope of the rook. When we play e5, we're putting the halt to their e-pawn. And this e-pawn, it's not only in the way of the rook, but also of the bishop as well. So e5 makes a lot of sense, just stopping white's e-pawn in its tracks. And it's really impacting white's piece play. So we'll see what Alex goes for. I think the bishop developing makes sense. And yeah, Alex seems to be on the same page as me which could be a bad sign for sure. I would be a little nervous if I was her and I knew like, okay, I'm playing what Joe is thinking is fine. B6, she's going for the double fianchetto. And yeah, logically for white, bringing the knight out, and maybe that's another reason why we play b5. So when we capture and they capture, as we had mentioned earlier, this c3 square has been vacated for white's knight. So the knight coming here makes a lot of sense. But if we play the pawn to b5, knight here, it develops a piece with the tempo against the pawn, which isn't defended, which why it felt awkward at first, but now I can see why. If the knight comes here, then we're playing b4, and we've taken a lot of space, and we're inconveniencing their knight, for sure. Their knight can go forward. Here you don't really want to go, because we'll take, and they'll have double ised d-pawns. Here, and you might run the risk of trapping your knight. Yeah. That makes more sense now, learning this. And honestly, as I had mentioned, it's very easy to see the engine and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? But that's why it's so important to go and play and then to analyze afterwards, is because this is very valuable experience. And playing really, I think, is the best way to learning and improving. Because being able to think through the position your own way and then seeing what the engine thinks and then maybe adjusting your strategy, your openings, or your thought process, that's an invaluable learning experience. And yeah, this guy, he seems like he's never at the board. So we'll see. And yeah, the board isn't updating, so the clocks I don't think are accurate, unfortunately. But knight to c3 has been played. And we'll see how Alex reacts to this. But probably the bishop wants to come out. What's up, Chassis? You're 2 out of 4 right now in DC. Very nice. Yoel's playing a child in Joey Trust. What's up, Pizza? Thank you. All right, she fianchettos. She's played this fairly quickly. And yeah, this C file has no pawns, by the way, after C takes, C takes. So I think this C file is going to be an area of interest for both players. I think white wants to develop this bishop, probably bishop to g5, and then put a rook on the C file opposite the queen. It's so easy to play this position for white. I love the C3 Sicilian, and it's also very convenient doubling up on this diagonal and try to trade the dark squared bishops. I love playing against fianchettoed bishops for that reason, mainly. Alex could try to prevent this with a move like h6, but h6 can be weakening. If you ever put the king on h7, you're opposite of this diagonal, which can be a little nervous for sure. So white's got an easier position to play for sure, but we're still very early on here, and there's many ways that they can go about and mess this up. He's in charge of memes. Someone's got to do it. Yeah, her opponent, yeah, I guess yesterday, had a very good light square bishop for sure. But Alex, she overextended her kingside pawns, I think. I think she really weakened her king, and she was trying to start an attack, but it didn't pan out. What's up, Speed Chess? Good to see you. Vacmore, redeeming hydrate. Okay, I don't want your points to go in vain, so I'll redeem, I guess, on behalf of Alex for today. It looks like her opponent has a water bottle. I don't know if she does, but I have my own water, luckily. Yes, this tournament is in Portugal. The Maia Open. I guess it's in a town called Maia, maybe. I don't know. Or maybe they named it after Anna Maya. And I'm sure everyone's made that joke already, perhaps, although it's a different spelling. But okay, Daniel, you don't have to go about insulting Eric Rosen. uh or me for that matter. I mean, I'd rather you make fun of me than Eric, but make fun of me but not at the expense of Eric, I guess, is my point. Anyways, I've never been to Portugal, but I imagine it's very nice. I've never been to Spain either. I like to visit. I think that'd be fun. Yeah, now I want to see Yoel's opponent. Hopefully Yoel gets a win. That'd be rough otherwise. But sometimes the child chess players are just prodigies. And I think it's okay to lose in general, but losing to a prodigy is also kind of cool because you could be like, yeah, when they grow up and become a grandmaster, you're like, yeah, they beat me when they were like less than 10. Um, I lost to a child. I've referenced this many times. That kid ended up being in a Dina Belenkaya video. Significant, Alan? Yeah, I mean, there was a significant size difference between me and Joel, who I had met for the first time in his home country of the Netherlands. Joel versus not Joel, they would kind of cancel each other out, right? It's like black matter. So hopefully that never happens. Um, you wonder how many people classical isolates from high level competitive chess. Blitz and Rapid has become a lot more popular lately. I think we're going to see a class of pros that never play classical. Um, Maybe. I still think because of like FIDE ratings and the titles, I think classical will remain kind of at the top. I think you could make an argument that like most chess is played online, most games are speed chess or what have you. I mean, really, you could argue most games are bullet, right? Because like for every game of Blitz or Rapid that someone plays, someone else is playing, five or so bullet games. Uh, Maybe, I mean, I don't know. But yeah, even if classical isn't the most like played time control, it's still gonna be, I think, at the top of the chess food chain because the over the board experience is really fun. And again, like I mentioned, the FIDE rating following the titles, I think, is really important. The people are trying to get titles, which you can't get from online or faster time controls. Shouldn't Alex use more of her time? The clocks are not updated because the board is not updated. I mean, the position is updated because I'm updating it, but the board has stopped working, it seems. Um, am I active? Okay, the boards are updating, and so too are the clock times. So here we go. Very nice. Sounds like someone is watching out for us. Maybe even tuning in. Or maybe someone's just doing their job and watching all the boards, making sure they're all fixed and updated. So Alex has an hour and 12 minutes. Opponent has an hour and 7 minutes. So a 5-minute difference, which is an eternity in a blitz game, or even more so in bullet. But in classical, it's pretty negligible. But yeah, it is the opponent's turn, but Alex is looking really focused on the board, which is great. She's definitely locked in. She's looking at all of the options for her opponent, trying to figure out what's their best move. What should I be expecting? And then what do I want to do? So I think bishop g5 is a great move for white, and I think that white should continue with queen to d2 and bishop to h6. I think this is a very solid plan for white, very logical, developing the last minor piece, getting the queen out of the way, connecting the rooks. The computer likes bishop to g5, but it likes d5 best. d5, kicking the knight, and questioning where the knight wants to go. So you could go to e5, and then takes. This pawn is kind of awkward and clamped down by d5. Your pawns could be doubled. So we'll see. d5 helps open up this bishop, potentially. The knight could go forward, attacking the bishop. Otherwise, the knight's going to have to go maybe somewhere a little bit awkward. Maybe to the edge of the board, maybe backwards. So the computer likes this d5 idea. Simon Williams beat Magnus when he was 10. Very nice. That's better than what I can say. Hello, Vonda. Okay, bishop does come out, but not to g5, 1 square short. Bishop's pointing opposite the king, or sorry, the queen. And just like that, he's up and moving around. So, yeah, e5 it still likes. It makes sense the queen is on this diagonal supporting. So we shall see if Alex goes for e5. And yeah, it's been liking e5. Do the Asmoada fans know if Alex normally plays a Sicilian or not really? Is this a new venture for her? Because if so, it seems like she's got a lot to learn. What's her rating? She's provisional or unrated. She doesn't have enough FIDE games to have a rating, but online she's gotten to about 1800. And yeah, she's 1 out of 2. She won her first game and lost her second game. So I think so far, pretty good start, especially considering it's her first FIDE. She used to play a Caro. Okay. Yeah, I think I would argue a Sicilian is an improvement from a Caro. There was this TV show about chess where they said that the Caro Con is all pawns and no hope. So that doesn't sound very good. I think you should probably use more than just your pawns. And probably you don't want a hopeless position. But obviously I think the Caro Con isn't all pawns and no hope. It's just what they said on that TV show that one time. So it's very important to keep those things in mind when you're deciding your openings, right? Like, how good is my opening in terms of its PR, you know? Like, I used to play the French Exchange, and then I got bullied for it, so I stopped doing that. And for good reason. I think people are really looking after me. They don't want me to be made fun of, so they make fun of me to prevent other people from doing it in the future. So then I would stop doing that. And it really helped. It made me a better player. Now against the French, I play the classical. So I've maybe lost a bit of creativity and originality, but I'm a better chess player for it. In my elo, it's like maybe better, maybe not, maybe worse. I can't tell, actually. The openings really don't matter, you guys. Openings don't matter. Don't buy into big opening. Just get to a position and then play. That's really all I can tell you. That's what I do. That's why I play the Italian. Tried and true. I mean, E4, best by test. Also, thank you, Beta Wolf. You play the Scotch, also a classic. Until you learn some theory, now you play Knight C3. Yeah, yeah, that's sounds about right. Do you guys know Noel, is it Studer? He's a Swiss GM. He just made a YouTube video. I think it's his first video. But he is the husband of Alessia Santeramo, an Italian streamer. I believe woman FIDE master. So if you know one of them, now you should know both of them. But essentially, Noel is talking about how there's all these chessable courses and opening books, and people are really invested in the openings. And I mean, when you're watching chess, if you're not watching Alex, you're probably watching a grandmaster who seems to know, 20 plus moves of theory and multiple openings and all these different sidelines and variations and blah, blah, blah. And it's like GMs really have to know their stuff. But it's because GMs are also just so good at everything else. The difference between two GMs is a lot smaller than the difference between, like, maybe an amateur player and I don't know. But, like, essentially, if you look at the reasons why you're losing your games, for the most part, like, depending on the level you're looking at, but assuming both players, aren't just blundering a piece out of the opening, usually there's a tactic or a blunder that happens later on in the game, maybe the end game, maybe the middle game. But the opening mistakes don't really account for, like, why you would lose a game for the most part. So, like, before you try to become a grandmaster and memorize 20 plus moves of a certain opening, you should be focusing more on those mistakes you're making in the middle game or the end game, those tactical reasons for the most part. Because before you can, dive that deep into the opening, you should be focusing on the things that you should be improving on, which for the most part is not the openings or the opening prep. So I tend to agree with that. I think teaching the opening and all these different lines, it's very easy to do, actually. And, like, people, I think, are super interested in that sort of thing. And like, I mean, chess at the end of the day is pretty hard to master. And it's hard because you've got to do a ton of work in a ton of different areas. It's not, you can't memorize your way to GM, right? Um, and yeah, it's hard to study and practice in other areas. So that being said, like getting an advantage out of the opening is always very nice, but you still have to be able to convert. And I feel like personally, my opening is like my weakest part of the game. Maybe that's not true, but I definitely just stick to my Italian, so I don't have to think about much else. That's why I know some things about the Sicilian, the C3, the Alpine Sicilian. Essentially, when you play the Italian, you start with E4, and your opponent might not want to play E5. So all of my opening knowledge is like from E4 openings. So I'll know a little bit about the Caro. I'll know a little bit about the French. I'll know a little bit about the Sicilian. But it's mainly about the things that I like to play. So against the Caro, I saw Danya play the Fantasy. So that's what I've been playing, which is F3. Which, might not be the best. But I like to go for things that like maybe black doesn't know a ton of theory about. So that's why I don't play the mainline Sicilian, the open Sicilian. I'll play the C3 Sicilian. And like C3 and F3 for the Sicilian and the Caro respectively have some similarities, right? You're defending a pawn with another pawn in the center specifically. You're blocking your knights. So, okay, Alex has played A6. A6 on the board, which honestly, she's just preventing knight B5. But yeah, otherwise, not very much addressing the center, not really playing in the center. So, computer liked E5. She's played A6. And yeah, it likes the opponent just pushing a pawn in the center at E5 or D5. But also, I like rook C1, and I also like queen to D2. Queen D2, I think, is a bit less likely to play. Usually, you'd play queen D2 after playing like bishop to G5, but maybe opponent didn't like bishop G5 because maybe she'd play H6, and there wouldn't be time to play queen D2 there. So maybe opponent does play queen D2. She wants knight takes D4. Yeah, knight takes D4 with E5. That was a tactic that we saw Hannah play against Rachel 2 days ago, which makes a lot of sense. But you didn't like it because after the fork, there'd be this knight to B5 maneuver hitting the queen. So playing A6 allows us to go for this tactic. So let's see. Yeah, we couldn't do it earlier because knight takes, there's knight to B5. So yeah, let's see. I'm curious though. Let's say here we try this. Isn't there like queen takes here? What's the problem here? Oh, we move this knight. Knight H5. That's a nice in-betweener, as they'd say. But yeah, computer maybe not necessarily loving this A6 move. And yeah, even if she has this tactic, I guess white can respond and react here. So it still likes E5 or D5 for white. just attacking these knights, right? That's the luxury of having the two pawns in the center. It's also saying rook c1 even is a fine move. And if we go for this now, it does prefer slightly queen takes, but knight takes seems to be just fine as well. Anyways, here there's this move bishop to e3, and now we take the knight, bishop takes, and we're left with an isolated d pawn, which isn't great. And white's gotten the rook opposite of our queen. So yeah, we probably need to move these rooks at that point. And then here it likes b5. So yeah, that's why it's very interesting that at this point b6, it likes b5 so much. Like this is, I think, a valuable improvement, a lesson to be had. When the knight's not quite on c3 yet, we can invest in this b5 pawn push, and it just makes this knight a little bit more uncomfortable. And that's why I was saying I didn't quite like playing c takes d4, because we're making life easier for white, right? If I take on d4, white's response is almost automatic. They don't have to think. They can just be like, oh, nice, easy, simple recapture, right? And then that square's open for the knight. There's no thinking in this sort of move for white. Now, if I do something else, like I just play b5, now white has to think. White's thinking, do I push? Do I take? How do I get this knight out? Do I go here? Right? Like that's a pretty committal knight development move. You're blocking the queen, you're blocking the bishop, right? You're thinking about, okay, well, where does knight go from there, right? You know, the knight's kind of in the other knight's way. Does this knight need to move now for me to put the other knight there? There's a lot of uncertainty in the future. Is that the kid that Joel's playing? Is that the guy? I just see this child in the playing hall. That is a little one. Is the DGT broke? The DGT seems to be updated. It was broken and now it's fixed, luckily. But yeah, I mean, even the computer was saying taking is best. I'd also liked b5. I think I understand b5 now. I think seeing b5 in the eval for the first time, I didn't quite understand it. But yeah, the idea of b5 is to control b4. So like if you start with b5, later then you could take, and it's still the knight has uncertainty, right? The knight doesn't know if it can go to c3 because you have b5 played. You can play b4, and you can attack that knight again. And then okay, now the knight's got to move. The knight cannot permanently reside on c3, so this is all very helpful little tips, I think, out of the opening that can help her improve her Sicilian, right? And c3, like I had mentioned, is not the main line. So if you're playing a new opening for the first time, she's obviously going to be looking at the open Sicilian, right? And you want to spend most of your time on the main lines because that's going to be the most popular, most played openings. So playing c3 is something that I personally like to do because I know opponents might be less versed in that. Okay, so opponent has played the move e5, attacking her knight most importantly, but also trying to maybe stir up some trouble opposite of her queen. So in this situation, she has two options, truly: moving the knight or taking the pawn. So taking the pawn seems to be best. And it likes this move knight h5. And you could do a combination of both of those things. Odds are, after d takes e5, then white will take with the pawn, and our knight's going to be in the same situation. And we have just traded the d pawns, really. So that's also why I liked her playing e5 earlier, is to prevent white from playing e5. And that's a lot of what black's best moves are going to be and the nature of playing with the black pieces. You're responding and reacting to white's play because white goes first, right? And so the main principle of the opening is you want to fight for the center control. And white gets to go first, so that's why the most two famous openings are either e4 or d4. You're just immediately laying claim to the center. And black's job in going second is to prevent white from just completely dominating the center. So you have to fight for that center. That's why the most common openings in response to e4 are either e5 or c5. Both of those pawn pushes control d4, right? And the reason why you control d4 out of the e4 openings is because if you don't, white will then have both e4 and d4. And that's why in openings where you only push upon one square, like the Caro or the French, the second mainline move is d4. Because if e4 and d4 are the two most popular openings, why not play both if you can, right? And that's why I like c3, is because it prepares for d4. And all of this is to say that's why Alex, when she had the opportunity, should have played e5, because that would have prevented d4 or would have helped her control the d4 pawn push a little bit more. She didn't do that, and now we saw white get the pawn duo, and even then, her best move still was e5 to put the stop to the e-pawn. She didn't do that, and now we see the consequences of her actions. Her opponent has gotten d4 and e5, and that's a big question to her future center control, where the knight is going to reside. You know, she played a6 to control b5, but now the knight's getting kicked. She's lost control over d5. And yeah, it's going to be maybe an awkward position for her to defend out of the gate. So best option here, d takes. Second best is knight h5. This is reading at plus 1.6 in white's favor. So the computer's saying with best play, white's going to win at least a pawn, maybe more. Of course, the players are not computers, so we'll see if there's any material loss here. But definitely white is for choice and preferred over black. You thought she was killing it on time? Yeah, the DGT board's updated and looks like they're about equal, both with 59 minutes. Opponent has a couple seconds in an advantage. And Alex might be thinking a bit more here. So we'll see. Okay, no, she decides to take. D takes e5. And when the opponent returns to the board, they should pretty quickly take back with their d pawn as well. That does open the d file, and we could try maybe attacking the queen with one of our rooks. That being said, like, interestingly, their pawn is going to be pinned to the bishop. The bishop is undefended, it's hanging. But it would still be advantageous for white to take because it hits a second piece. So they could get two pieces for the price of one. So this knight really does have to make a move. So d takes, and then she'll probably have to go knight h5. Otherwise, she's going backwards, which is a little scary. But that's okay. Oh, looks like Alex is finally redeeming that hydrate. A bit delayed. It makes sense, though. The feed and the board are both delayed by 10 minutes. So if you redeemed hydrate, maybe in 10 minutes, she'll hydrate. But it's kind of a joke because she's obviously not looking at the chat. One can use opening theory to learn middle game ideas in that opening, like learning about the minority attack and the Queen's Gambit decline. Yeah, I mean, still learning the theory in the openings is very helpful. I'm not going to tell you to not ever learn opening theory. But but the point is that you could argue there are other more important areas of the game to learn first before openings. But learning openings, of course, is still good. Still very helpful for sure. Okay, jacket is coming off. Alex back in serious business mode here. I wonder what the venue is like in terms of temperature, though. It can be annoying if it's like too cold to not have a jacket, but too hot to have a jacket. So then you get to this in between temperature where it's like you just gotta put it on when you feel cold and take it off when you feel hot and just alternate. But I don't know, it seems fine. Maybe rook d8. Yeah, it wouldn't be good if the knight's hanging. So I agree, rook d8 at some point I would love to play. I wanted the rooks on C and D. But we can't allow this capture first, I don't think. Well, actually, okay, so hold on. Takes, rook d8, takes, and we take here. And then they don't have time to take here because they have to move the queen. So maybe that is playable. But yeah, opponent's thinking, which is good, because they're spending time on a relatively easy recapture. It's important to note, white has 4 pieces that could all recapture this singular pawn. Obviously, you wouldn't take with the rook because the knight's defending this pawn. But you could, in theory, take with knight or bishop. If you take with the bishop, we're obviously taking that. And now we have the bishop pair. We're opening up our bishop as well, which would be beautiful. Knight takes, and here, interestingly, we don't have to take back. It even likes queen d8, which is it's attacking the d pawn for a second time. But yeah, I mean, it's awkward. And yeah, he's finally taking back with a pawn. This is, in my opinion, like kind of a no-brainer, automatic kind of move. So yeah, he's made his move. And now we must wait yet again for the DGT board to update. Yeah, alternative, play 960. No more openings. You're just thinking on your own. 960 is hard. Just more things. It's like, how do we make chess harder? You could play blindfold. Maybe blindfold 960 would be fun to watch, like Danya do it. I bet he has already done that. Maybe. Or maybe like Gotham has done it. I don't know. Very impressive stuff. I can barely play 960. I can barely play chess as is. People that are trying to make chess hard, I mean, those are the real tryhards. Literally. There's Nodule playing blindfolded. Turns out if you want to be good at something, you have to like put some amount of effort into it. And that's really the roadblock for me in many different aspects of my life. So I've destined myself for a life of mediocrity. But that's okay. I'm content. You enjoy watching freestyle? Yeah. Uh, was it Levon that did really well in that recent freestyle tournament? Was that in Vegas? You two love Nolanda? I don't know if I agree with that. You've got so much going on in your life. You're gonna be a big shot. Yeah, I definitely I'm happy not being the main character. I'm more of a support role, really. And that's not even by choice. That was like forced upon me. How much commentary practice do I do though, or just naturally gifted, Alan? It's not that I practice, it's that I have experience. Um, I mean, I started commentating like what I mean, I watch a lot of chess in general. So, you can compare commentating to like playing chess as well. So like the best practice is to play, but you can also learn a lot by watching. And so I'll watch a lot of commentator. I mean, watching sports is good practice even. Like watching Danya and Hess, they love to talk about basketball because they love watching basketball. And they're great commentators. And they, I think, have a general feel of like how sports commentators call things. But I love watching hockey and not basketball. Which reminds me, so tragically, I'm so sad the Blues lost their main commentator because they didn't renew his contract. Just terrible. Anyways, I don't know. They could never really replace him. Shout out to John Kelly, son of Dan Kelly, who was also the commentator. Maybe a bit of nepotism, but also maybe deserved. It's funny because like a lot of sports athletes, kids will also be sports athletes, and that's not really nepotism, right? They kind of just have the genetics for it in a lot of regards, but I don't know how much. I mean, commentating to have like a good voice that could be genetics, right? Um. Anyways, no, I'm I'm a fan of chess first and foremost. So I got into commentating when I was watching YouTube. Really, Jerry from the Chess Network was a huge inspiration for me, a huge role model in the chess world for sure. And he would commentate Magnus playing online. And I think that's like some of the most fun things you can do is just watching, Magnus play an arena. It's fast paced. There's lots of games. It's just nonstop action. You never know if Magnus will show up drunk or playing from his phone in a car or on a plane. And that to me, I think was like the most exciting things to watch on YouTube. And so I was watching Jerry do it, and I was like, I want to try. I want to watch and talk about it because I guess I like talking. So that's another trait I think commentators should have. They should be able to describe things as they see them. And then yeah, I also started the College Chess League, and no one else was commentating those games, so figured I'd try it. And over time, your experience improves your, ability. And that's really, I guess, what my practice was. First watching, then doing. And then I don't have to really think too much. Like, there was a viewer last night, Zion, telling me that it's something I could, you know, put some more effort into. But for me, it's always just been kind of a fun hobby. I didn't think much deeper than that. So, and also another thing that I like besides talking is helping. And a lot of streamers that are, having their games streamed, it's helpful to have somebody commentate and to stream to their channel and keep the viewers engaged. And I like being helpful and being part of the chess community in a helpful way. That being said, it's not like I'm doing this out of charity. I think that a lot of times commentating, the streamer will make like a highlight and post it on social media, and I think that's really cool too. It helps me out. Really, I'm doing this for myself. I'm being pretty selfish by doing this. I've hijacked Alex's Twitch channel. So now I get to say whatever I want on Alex's stream. So I'm going to take this opportunity to say something that I've been thinking for quite some time now. And I finally have the platform on Alex's channel. I'll say this, you guys. Honestly, I've said it before. This isn't news. I think Alex has done a tremendous job in her chess and her streaming. I mean, you guys, she made an Instagram account publicly and is posting content on that channel from her tournaments, from her streams. She posted like a vlog recapping her first round. I mean, look at this girl go. It's incredible. She's doing a great job. And I hope that she, can take a step back every now and then and appreciate the amount of effort and the progress that she's made. So if she's going back to watch this, hopefully she can pat herself on the back, because I'm definitely proud of her. I know a lot of other people are proud of her, happy for her, supportive of her. And it's really exciting to see someone get into chess relatively recently and seeing success like Alex is. So it's great. Happy for her for sure. Thank you, love, Nalanda. Appreciate the kind words. Why am I not playing, Rob? That's a great question. I think when a tournament is in a different continent, it just is like a layer of I don't know. It's a limiting factor, to say the least. But looking back at seeing just how many people would be there, it feels like this was kind of a no-brainer. I should have gone. So maybe I have regrets. You don't like the part where they discuss the game together? Honestly, I had so much fun on Friday commentating Katarina's game because of her opponent's mannerisms. That was like the most fun I had commentating. Like that was the peak. The whole broadcast was 4 hours. I'm watching two games. That's four players. Three of the four are all streamers. And the most fun for me was watching that one guy that wasn't a streamer just making his move. Like, if you have the chance to go back and watch that, I mean, I was having a blast. That was so fun for me. And it had nothing to do with chess. It had nothing to do with the position, where the pieces were, what tactics were available. So, what does that say about me if the most fun thing about the chess commentating is not even the chess? It's just, I just get to be up here and talk to you guys, really. Just having a good time. We're just hanging out. But that reminds me, I have a story of Alex's commentating. So not only is Alex a player, but she's also a commentator. She was commentating for Phoebe in her most recent tournament earlier this month, even. And Alex was talking about her grandpa and that she had this joke, and her grandpa would have her repeat the joke to everyone. And obviously, the question is, well, what's the joke? And Alex is like, I forgot the joke. And we're like, well, you got to ask your grandpa. And in that moment, she straight up just called him on stream. And I was surprised. I was like, I didn't think she would do that right then and there. I thought she'd ask him later. But no time wasted. She went straight to the source. And he also forgot the joke, unfortunately. So we didn't quite get any closure. Although she said that he said he'd think about it. So I don't know if there was an update. We got to ask her if he remembered it. Shout out to PMD, who did a great job commentating. PMD's also commentated for Phoebe. He's commentated for Alex so far in this tournament. And hopefully PMD will continue commentating. And I'm sure he's heard this many times, but I'll be sure to remind him that people would love to see the PMD cam if he's able to turn it on and show us all. No, but there's no pressure really. I had mentioned Jerry from the Chess Network is a big role model for me, and he's never used his camera, and he's one of my favorite commentators. He does have one of the best voices in chess as well, and I think he's also just got a great personality, and he's super knowledgeable, a very strong player. And definitely doesn't need the camera for sure. I mean, no one really does, but and that's also something I think people are nervous or afraid maybe to show themselves, and that's totally okay. They don't need it. Like I've seen people commentate without a microphone. They just type in the chat. Like or not. I mean, commentating is people have streamed without camera or mic. Jay's the best, I agree. But okay, there's been a move on the board, and I want to talk about it. Finally, get to this whole chess commentating thing. So in this position, the knight has moved backwards to d7. The best was knight to h5, putting pressure immediately on that bishop. Now, the point of this e-pawn of the bishop is that when the pawn moves, it's a discovery on the queen. Now, this bishop is completely hanging. It's undefended. So what does that mean? Well, it means that Alex is planning on taking the bishop. But the problem is that d7 is hanging. Not just by the pawn, but also by the queen, actually, when this queen leaves. So e6 is a tactical shot here available for white, and it's white's turn. And white's thinking. So we'll see. We'll see if they go for it. This could be a big moment for Alex's opponent. No, oh, he's going to go something else. Yeah, he's bringing the knight in. He's putting pressure on the queen. Knight d5 is the second best move. But this allows queen back to d8. And you don't have that e6 shot anymore. So, looks like they're taking turns at the table here. As she's returned, he is leaving. And yeah, they're both pretty close on the clock still. Alex is going to get to the halfway point in just 2 minutes. No, it's not close to me, Rob. Yeah, it's in Portugal. If it was here, yeah, I'd be ecstatic. Yeah, Pizza Racer. I really enjoy streaming in general, but also I'm a huge chess streamer watcher. I'm a chatter at the end of the day, really. I'm a consumer. But no, yeah, I'm a chess enjoyer. I'm a man of many titles. For being honest, I can wear many hats, which is funny because I don't wear any hats. But I think there should be more streamers, and there's a lot, it seems, compared to how many there were just a few years ago. But I think we could use more for sure. And spreading the game of chess, I think, is ultimately like the best thing out of all of it. Is that, like you said, we're sharing this game with an audience, and I think just having more people in the chess community is just going to be good. Growing our community, our network. You'll have more players, more viewers, more fans. And like at the very root of all of it, chess inherently, I think, is just fun. That's what brings us all to it, really. It's interesting. It's got this cool aesthetic to it. People think you're smart, which is helpful. Whether or not it's true, maybe debatable. People have their opinions. But there's been studies. Chess is a very mathematical way, like, of looking at it. There's geometry to it. There's tons of pattern recognition for sure. All right, she's played queen d8. The best move. She's keeping an eye on these pawns that the knight is still hitting. Is Joe trying to make all of us sleep? I might. Maybe I'm not actively trying to. I would prefer you not to, uh, if you could help it. But if you need to sleep, you should sleep. I think I just have a voice that puts people to sleep. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I've fallen asleep to many of Jerry's videos for sure. And if I have trouble sleeping, I'll put on a Jerry video and that'll help. And that's not an insult to him at all. I think it's a compliment. And I think Eric Rosen also is in that category. Can we see bishop to g5 played here? That's a good question. This is also one of the top recommendations. So you can see this pawn is hit by the knight. Queen steps back to defend. And now bishop to g5 can be played, which attacks this pawn, but it's defended backwards by the knight, luckily for us, perhaps. The computer's saying the best move there is just king to h8, which I would never play in that situation, I don't think. But yeah, this knight's very annoying, right? And we would We would love to kick it out by playing e6, but you can't play e6 when your pawn gets pinned to your queen. Yasser-like effect. That's very nice. I've met Yasser a few times. All right, Alex is putting the jacket back on. We could create like a jacket counter. But yeah, I mean, this guy, he clearly has the advantage. You can see Alex's pieces, they haven't cleared her sixth rank. The opponent has a bishop on the fourth rank, knight and pawn on the fifth rank, and clearly invading her space. She's just made a backwards move, right? From a developed queen to an undeveloped queen, back to the starting square. So she's on her back foot a little bit here. And this guy's pressing. He's got the initiative. He's got the advantage. So the question is how to proceed. We were looking at bishop g5 as per request by Daniel. Very logical move. It is further limiting black's pieces. She is in a restricted state. That's why controlling the center is so powerful, because you can control the rest of the board from the center. I always compare the center of the board to the top of a hill, right? And you can see of the center four squares, white has two of them. And from here, this knight is controlling a lot of area of the board, right? She has to keep her pieces trained on these things that are being attacked, right? The knight is within checking distance even, which can lead to a lot of tactics. This pawn here can push, actually, and should have pushed the move prior. And that just gives white further access because of just the superior piece development and the control over the center. So white really has all the cards. Black is being passive, defensive, reactionary, reacting to white's threats. And here, the top move yet again is e6, which just is opening up for all of these pieces. So we'll see if opponent plays e6. e6 is such a beautiful move to make. And then the e-pawn literally can't move. Here it's a pin, but the pawn could still push. In theory, it wouldn't be good, but it has the option, right? It wouldn't do it, but it likes having the option. Pushing e6, and now this pawn literally can't move. Doesn't even have the option. Can't even make a blunder if it wanted to. So that's really what controlling the center is about maximizing your options and minimizing your opponent's options. That's why Alex needed to play e5 much, much earlier. Now you can't even play e6 as black. So if your e-pawn can't push, it's very hard to control the center, right? That's why the e-pawn and the d-pawn are so valuable. It's because they are the centermost pawns. You know, you have 8 pawns, and they're not created equal, unfortunately. Just like how, you know, the bishops aren't equal, or the knights, right? This knight is much better than this knight. This is a 5th rank knight for white. This is a 7th rank knight for black. This pawn is much better than this pawn. This pawn is pushed a handful of times and is supported by the rook, and it's coordinating with the other pieces. There's a lot of pressure that it could build. If you take that pawn, your structure is so weak, and who knows what dangers you're inviting into your position. So e6 is just a beautiful move for white. White has this opportunity. Alex isn't even at the board right now. So she's taking a little bit of a breather, stretching the legs, probably not happy with her position. And we'll have to see him convert a good advantage out of the opening for sure. And all this talk about, openings maybe are a little overrated. People spending a lot of time on it. But here's the thing. This guy played the opening well. Alex maybe could have made a couple of improvements to not be in such a passive position right now. But if this guy doesn't know tactics and he doesn't know his in-game technique, right, or to convert, then the opening advantage is for nothing, right? And it reminds me of that game I was commentating for Phoebe, her second win. She was getting crushed, and she even said she was thinking about resigning. And this guy just got absolutely flabbergasted. I think he had a brilliant tactic, sacrificing a knight, really opening up an attack, but he wasn't able to follow through and convert. His tactics, his calculations wasn't where it needed to be for that knight sacrifice that he played. So you saw the start of it, right? It's like seeing a good opening for yourself. But if you're not able to convert, if you don't know the technique, it doesn't matter, right? This guy, he's biting his nails. He's thinking. E6 it's such a beautiful move. It's the top move. But if he doesn't, I mean, he didn't see it the move prior, right? He played the knight to d5. He might be lost in understanding why e6 is so strong. But I'll be honest with you guys. I think he'll play it. I think he sees it. He's just calculating. He's using his time, which is pretty smart. I mean, he's technically up on time, a few minutes. Also, like, he's 1,700 FIDE. Like, that's like my level. I mean, I only see it because the computer sees it. But I'll be honest, I like these kind of moves where you could just put that pawn right there because it's super invasive. And it's annoying. It's aggressive. It's everything. It opens up for the bishop. There's so much coordination for all the pieces. It's a beautiful move. And I mean, I would be surprised if Alex herself doesn't see it. And that might be why she's not at the board right now. She might be avoiding the fate of e6 being pushed. Right now is the time to do it. But sometimes there's a good move in the position, like, e6, a move prior, and you could talk yourself out of it. Okay, he's lifting his hand. Is he going for the knight? That doesn't seem right. I think, yeah, he's going for the pawn. Yeah, he's played e6. This is expected. This is to be expected. And now it's on Alex's clock. So it's her turn. This guy, he's made his move. And as always, he's going to get up. He's looking at the board. And now he's walking away. So we'll wait to see what Alex does. He's maybe even looking where Alex is. Yeah, he's going to come back and wait around. And sometimes it's helpful to see the board from a different perspective, or to just, move the legs a bit, get the blood flowing. And here she is. She's returned. And now that she's back, he's gone. So, okay. Yes, e6 is on the board. And now Alex must react. So best is to take. Otherwise, you have to move your knight, which honestly, I don't know how good or bad that is really, but yeah, f takes, and then the best move is bishop to c7. Yeah, which is annoying, and you're going to be winning this pawn So she's getting some tactics played on her, which doesn't feel great. But she can remain calm and just focus on just playing the best moves. And that's all you can do, really. If you start to panic, it's when the blunders can set in. A position can look so hopelessly lost. And I think a lot of people will be surprised at just how many resources there are to just hold on. If you fight tooth and nail to the very end, it can be difficult to deliver a checkmate, right? Which is the only way to win, really. So, like, being down a queen for like a knight and a rook, there's so many ways you can create a fortress, a defensive just setup structure, and there's no way for them to break through, right? Or a rook and a bishop. I mean, if you ever have two pieces for a queen, there's some hope. Um, I mean, even two rooks versus a queen, the rooks are oftentimes favored against the queen. And I don't know why I'm talking about the queen. It's not like she's about to lose a queen. The eval, it's barely over +1, right? If she plays f takes, and if white plays bishop to c7 as the follow up, and then queen c8, rook takes e6. This is what is reading as best scenario for black, which is just over +1, which means with perfect play, white should win a pawn. And a pawn at the end of the day is not that big of a deal, right? And that's if she, stays calm and finds the best moves. If she panics, maybe she starts being a little too creative, or maybe she forgets about things and is freaking out. Oh my God, I'm losing. I'm lost. And then that's when you can make some major mistakes and blunders and throw away a still relatively manageable position. Ooh, looks like we've got a FIDE command. Very cool, PMD. The player is old. He doesn't look old to me. He'll get tired soon. I mean, I'm tired, but yeah, her position's definitely cramped. She never moved her e-pawn. I haven't heard that pizza racer, but that makes a lot of sense. How's Mkiva, Jorge? That's a great question. I would love to know myself. Have you heard from him? I'm sure he's fine. Anyways, E6. She's got her head in her hands. She probably doesn't feel great, but she should take this and figure out what's coming in store for her. So if you don't take this, you have to find a new spot for your knight, right? And you're either going knight c5 or maybe knight here, but maybe you're getting checked. Maybe something lands on c7, right? So c7's looking like it's going to be an issue. But yeah, C7 is going to be an issue. There's nothing you can do now about this. White just has these two pieces controlling this. Your knight is under attack by the pawn. This is the major threat right now in the position. So something landing on C7 is secondary to us losing the knight. So this is priority number one. Once we deal with this, then we have to expect something landing on C7. Knight on C7 is actually very interesting. Hits the rook and also hits this if we take knight here. But in that situation, I think maybe we play E5 and we don't worry about the rook in the corner, because if they take this rook in the corner, notice that knight's going to be trapped. So if we could take this bishop and the knight for the cost of one rook, that'd be very advantageous. So takes, knight C7, we have E5. We have 1, 2, 3 defenders. They have 1, 2, 3 defenders. So if they take, I mean, we just like knight takes, bishop takes, knight takes. We have that covered. So we are absolutely not worried about knight to C7. Now we should calculate knight C7. E5 looks good, but then maybe they'll play knight to E6. And knight to E6 hits the queen, which is obviously very important. So there, I was thinking we could move maybe to C8. So there's no more attacks on the queen. And then they have to deal with this threat. Again, if they take the rook or the bishop or something, we're just going to take here, I imagine. But okay. Yeah, I'm not worried about knight C7, right? So F takes, bishop to C7 though. This is a fork. And in that situation, I guess we're just going to C8 to keep pressure on that bishop. So now this knight can't move. Yeah, if E5, there's knight E6. Knight E6, I was saying we just play queen C8 anyways. Because after rook takes F8, I'm not sure what you mean. I'm looking at F takes, knight here, E5, knight E6, and play like queen here or something. Oh, our knight's hanging is the problem. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking we take here. I just missed that the knight's hanging. But they also have like the checks and all of that is really annoying. So after they take here, we probably just take back with something. And then, yeah, this is no longer as defended. So we don't lose a full rook, though. It's just the exchange. We'll get the knight for the rook. But obviously still not good. But yeah, that was just my short-sighted calculation. Yeah, I thought this was good. I missed that our knight on D7's hanging at the end. But I mean, the computer still doesn't think knight C7 is the best. It prefers bishop to C7. For some reason. And yeah, Alex is still thinking. She's still on the clock. But yeah, knight C7. Yeah, rook takes F4 is very interesting. But again, they have this knight takes E6. If we go here, this is hanging, right? So they could take this first and then take. And yeah, I mean, we've lost an exchange, but I mean, we're getting infiltrated. Rook b8 here. Bishop to e4. Can we play here? Rook ad1. Yeah. Queen takes, rook takes. And the threat is to just take and take. You'll get 2 minor pieces for 1 rook. And because we're already down in exchange, we'll just be down a whole piece at that point. So, yeah. Now if we go here, they have something like this, I'm sure. Queen takes. And now they're getting a piece. After being an up a rook, that would be up a rook at that point. So, yeah, this knight e6 idea is very annoying for sure. So here what it wants is knight c5, which defends e6. And we give up the exchange here. Queen takes. And maybe we have some counterplay on the diagonal. So there's a chance for a fight. And we saw Alex actually gave up an exchange in her first game and went on to win. So she definitely has the ability to come back down in exchange, which is not the end of the world. But how we lose the exchange, I think, is important. Yes, blame me. I agree. Yeah, hello, Deadman. I think that eval is reading best case scenario for black. Well, I mean, eval really is just perfect play. So, perfect defense. Alex takes and gives up an exchange in some fashion, and it's plus 1.3, but that's if Alex takes. Alex could psych herself out and do something else, and it starts reading worse and worse. So the second best line, she plays knight to c5, and now there's bishop to c7 still. Queen to e8 now. There's takes with check. Queen takes. You could take on b6. The knight's hanging. Here it's saying play knight to d4, which is pretty sad. I guess, let's see. What is the fight here? Okay, knight takes e7, check. Yeah. We're losing a piece. This is kind of brutal. Knight g5. And these knights are just dominating these squares. And this bishop's defending that. It's crazy. What else can be done? Well, we could hope that, yeah, if we go here, e takes, rook takes, bishop takes. I mean, the computer is just ruthlessly brutal. And thank God our opponent is not an engine. But yeah. This is the dangers of what could happen. You just give white the center, and their pieces will destroy you. But if they play perfectly. E6 is an easy move to find, I think. But the follow-up could require some precision. Takes, like, knight c7 is super tempting, right? But the computer likes bishop c7 slightly better for whatever reason. I am curious, what is the best defense to knight c7, knight c5? This is covered by our knight. Yeah, we're not really that worried about this, I guess. Okay, that would obviously not be good, but okay, it looks like Alex is about ready to make her move. But yeah, here, I mean, we have the rook opened up, right? The bishop is hit, so yeah, here it still likes bishop c7. Here it's saying queen a7, which I'm not a fan of. Okay, so she's played knight to c5. She did not take on e6. So let's see if the board will update for us. And now she's hydrating. So let's see what this guy does. This guy might he might take on f7. He might put something on c7. Yeah, here it doesn't like this move at all because of the move rook to c8 now. Would be actually favorable for black, the computer's reading, which is awesome. But obviously, there's a couple ways to win. The top move is bishop c7, and the second best move is to take on f7 with check. I think taking on f7 makes a lot of sense. I love having this diagonal open up, and I also love knight g5 with the tempo. So he very likely could take the pawn with check, just weakening his king or her king. Bishop c7, I think, kind of an interesting idea. Oh, what's up, Bryce? Leg shaking is very normal for chess players, from what I've seen. Yes. She did not take no fly. She did not. And part of that is like psychology, right? Like, but it's interesting, right? Different moments, there's different captures. Like when the opponent played d4, she took. When the opponent plays e6, she didn't take. So there's different reasonings in different moments. She could be scared. She could be scared of inviting the rook in, or she could have been scared about knight c7 to e6, right, which was looking very scary. So and yeah, she's attacking this pawn. So after takes, there's no knight e6 with the fork anymore if the rook is on f7. But she's got bigger, scarier things to worry about, like the knight coming to g5. If we look at e takes, rook takes, there's bishop g5 move comes back in mind. But yeah, here like the knight's defending this, so I'm wondering after this. Oh my god, there's knight d4. It just loses its mind over knight d4. And the idea is our queen wants to get involved, apparently. So knight d4. If knight takes, queen takes. And yeah, this is going to be a problem for them, it seems. But yeah, I was thinking like this move looks pretty strong. Here there's only one move that holds significant value for white. It's bishop c7 still. So yeah, I mean, we were looking at all these terrible lines we could have gone down. But really, okay, it looks like he is going for the bishop. So he's played the best move here. This guy might be pretty good. He might be cracked, as they say. E6, knight c5, and yeah, I like just these two. But anything else, eval's not even +1. So, okay, bishop c7 has been played. And it's very unfortunate here. The best move the computer's saying is actually f takes e now. But okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to play our queen to one of these two squares. Which one? I'm not sure. But I personally feel like c8 is better. The computer likes e8 a little bit. It's just something about the queen coordinating with the knight I think is helpful. Because the idea is that this pawn will fall and this knight will be pressured. Higher chance of winning, Oscar. I mean, I appreciate the thought of it, but I don't know. It's a tough position right now, so we're crossing our fingers. Opponent seems to be playing pretty well, which isn't a good sign. Neither player is at the board, so it's a chair versus another chair currently. But man, the chair on the right with the white pieces seems to be doing really well. But hope is not lost. Alex is still in this. What opening was it? It was a Sicilian. So Alex had the black pieces reacting against white's e4. We can do a recap for everyone tuning in a little late. Alex is returning to the board. She's going to see that she has to move her queen. Yeah, opponent delayed c3 by a move, and Alex wasn't able to play d5 against it, as you normally would in an Alapin. And yeah, Alex could have played e5 here, develops her queen. I feel like this was a common thing we saw in one of Phoebe's games, actually, now that I'm remembering, is that Phoebe played queen c7 at one point when she could have played like e5 or something. So now opponent gets in d4. Here she takes when I don't think she should have. And here she should play e5 yet again, just stopping white's center control. She doesn't do that. Knight c3, she develops her bishop, and now opponent develops their last minor piece. And again, this is the last opportunity for her to play e5 and really try to control the center. She did not do that. And now white plays e5. And this is the beginning of a dominant sequence by white to push back Alex's pieces. So takes, knight steps back, queen steps back, and now e6. And here she tries knight to c5, but now she's getting hit yet again. Bishop to c7, and now she's left to two squares to choose from. Both aren't great. The computer likes giving up the queen actually at this point, which is a little ridiculous, but it's actually appropriate because I was just talking about a queen for two pieces. F takes here and rook a takes, you're pinning the knight. So the computer thinks it's going to try its best to hold from there. But being a human, we're not going to give up our queen so easily. She's played queen to c8, and I agree with her. I like queen to c8 the best, and I think this is the best chance for her to defend as well. So now her pawn is hanging. Best case scenario, we would love to see white foolishly go for this fork. because it gives up 2 minor pieces. And this would be good for her, for black. It's still tricky, though. E takes. We don't really want to take this. Knight g5. It wants rook takes f2 here. No, hold on. If we go back, okay. Oh, yeah, just queen d5 is going to be brutal. Yeah. So here. Yeah, it's just... likes knight d4 as the best try. Yeah, dude, chess, I mean, these are all out wars here, a fight. And if you're passive, if you're just kind of not moving with a purpose, your opponent can really steamroll you. They can walk all over you. And that's what white's doing right now. So, and those positions we're looking at, even if white makes a mistake, black really still has to be aggressive and start throwing some punches. So, bishop c7, a great move. Now, knight takes would be a fork, a royal fork at that, but this knight is doing a good job defending that e-pawn. But yeah, I mean, the computer is really trying to maximize its aggressiveness, truly. Because, like, if your opponent has to react and defend to you, it's hard to achieve anything, right? It's when you pump the brakes and you mess up a tempo or you stop is when your opponent can really come back and start doing what they want to do. That's why a tempo is so valuable. It's so important. That's why you want to look for checks, captures, and threats, because those are the most forcing moves. And the opponent's doing a great job creating threats, captures, you know. E6, such a great move. Bishop to f4, pushing e5. Every move that white's doing is valuable, right? When Alex plays the move a6, it takes away one knight move, but it cost her a move to do that. She could have played e5, fighting for the center. Maybe you give up knight b5, but that's one move, right? And you can just bring your queen back. It's like white didn't play a3 to prevent knight b4, because even though knight b4 attacked the bishop, white could just react to that. And the knight is kind of a foolish piece on b4. Alex takes away the knight to b5 move because the queen would be hit. But guess what? The queen was hit anyways. And the knight came to d5 later, and the bishop came to f4. And the queen on c7 wasn't really that good of a move at the end of the day. So Alex should have invested more control in the center with e5. Multiple chances to have done it. And now she's left with this e-pawn still on the starting square. And white has been able to just continue developing and continue pushing. And now this e-pawn is taking on f7 with check. And this is a severe defect to black's safety. White still has a very safe king with all 3 pawns in front of it. Alex is going to have to take back with the rook. And you've got problems on this diagonal, either with the bishop or even with the queen. You've got a weakness on f7 that can be exploited. And white just has all the tactics. So, doesn't look great, doesn't sound great. Our opponent's even nodding his head a little bit. Alex has once again removed the jacket. And now hands in the head. There is still hope for a miracle. I agree, Frank. And it starts with Oscar redeeming Hydrate. Good night, Destrin. Thanks for being here. Seems like an early bedtime. Maybe it's a nap. I don't know. But sleep well regardless. And I hope you awaken to some good news. We could see a comeback. We've seen worse comebacks. But yeah. Opponent strong, for sure. Early day, yeah, I figured, Bastion. Well, hope you had a good weekend. Thanks. You're seriously a legend. Loved. Appreciated. And you deserve your beauty sleep, so we'll let you to it. Have a good day at work and a good week. And I hope to see you again soon. But I don't think I'll be commentating for Alex after this, in this tournament. Not in general. I would be honored to commentate more for Alex, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully she doesn't quit on me if she loses this game. She's like, I've seen Joe commentate, and just every time he commentates, he gets a win. The one time, this is my first time commentating for Alex, by the way. I could be, continuing the hot streak and win. But if I don't get a win from Alex, this could be devastating in terms of our relationship. She might think it's my fault. I might think it's her fault, Who knows if we'll continue to be friends after this. This is a high stakes game. This is so important for the future of our relationship and friendship and chess commentating, and maybe she will ban me from her channel. I don't know. I don't think she would do it, but this is just what's going through my mind right now. There's a lot at stake, and I'm nervous. She's not even taking this pawn back, by the way. She's freaking out a little bit, and I don't blame her. She might play king h8. She might just do that. She might be feeling desperate. She might feel like she can't even take this pawn, which is kind of upsetting. If you imagine, if an e-pawn came all the way down the board and took on f7 and I couldn't take back, I'd be a little upset. I'd be a little disappointed, because what's that e-pawn doing there? That's crazy. And it's all because she didn't push her e-pawn, dude. That e-pawn didn't get touched. This e-pawn, I mean, holy smokes. Well, I guess it moved to e4 immediately. This was the first piece that was moved in this entire game, and it's the last piece that's been moved. And it might even remain there. It might not even be captured. Alex didn't capture it when it got to f6, or e6, I should say. Now she might not even capture it on f7. This pawn might promote to a queen. It's one square away. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible. Oh, she reached out. I think she's going to take it. Because if you don't take it now, when would you? No, she doesn't. She goes, and she was thinking a long time. I think that makes sense that she wouldn't take it. I think she's freaked out. Now, the good news is the difference between taking it and not taking it is pretty much negligible. It's reading over +4 either way. Plus 4.02 if she took, plus 4.11 if she doesn't. But she's trying her best to survive, and this is her attempt. Also, it's funny, she could take with the king. There's king takes f7. That's reading at plus 5.4. Drama level ban incoming. I could get banned, you guys. I have to tread lightly. And honestly, I'm playing my own little internal chess game in my mind right now. I'm thinking, what is my best response if she loses, right? I could blame myself and say, Alex, I'm so sorry. This was an off game for me. You know, just something about today was different. I got a haircut just the other day. Actually, can I even use that excuse? I had my haircut for Hannah and Katarina's game, I think. So I guess that doesn't work. Shoot. All right, that's why you think about your moves. I have to think of another excuse. How did I end up losing this game for Alex? Was it the jacket? I was talking too much? Or is that her fault? You're confused, Chess with Jordan? I'm joking. I'm saying that if she loses the game, it's my fault, which is something I like to do. Is I blame other people's problems on myself because I'm it's my way of making people feel better. But maybe it doesn't actually help because it's it's a joke. So obviously it's not my fault why she would lose. But I'm a lighthearted guy. Just say GG and move on. I'm also trying to build up the stakes of this game a little bit by saying that she'd ban me if she loses. Just to, put some stakes on it, make it a little bit more exciting. If she wins, what should I do? I'll fly out to Portugal. No, I'm joking. Blame the alignment of the stars. I don't do that too much. Has PMD been watching Matt versus Sam? It's a good question. I personally have. I've only been looking at this game. Okay. So bishop takes b6 has been played. It's the top move. And now her knight is under attack. Knight d4 is interestingly a move, opening up the attack on the knight. Knight d7 is a move, saving the knight and attacking the bishop. Although you wouldn't really want to take the bishop because then you're going to get forked. The top move, however, is this move knight to e6. Rook is attacking the knight. The queen defends it. Yeah, if I could talk to Alex about this game afterwards, I would point heavily at this e5 move. E5 and then really like when you play a bad move, it's like twice as bad because presumably there's a good move that you dismissed or missed, right? It's like getting a multiple choice question wrong. Because to get a multiple question choice wrong, you have to both not know the answer and think that something else is right when it's also wrong. So it's like you're getting it wrong twice. So she could have played e5 multiple times, but instead she played an inferior move. So yeah, also people are saying she's normally a Caro Kann player, right? So she might be trying a new opening for her first time. And I also mentioned c3 on move 3 is an uncommon response for white against the Sicilian. Okay, so it looks like she's also ready to make her next move. She's going to move one of the knights, I imagine. And she's played knight to d7, which is the second best move. Top is knight e6. So she's played knight to d7. Knight to d7, and the top move is knight to g5. And knight on e6 would have helped prevent that. But knight to d7, yeah, we're hitting the bishop, but again, we don't really want to take the bishop because we're going to get forked. And even getting forked isn't the end of the world. Oh, I got to remember Alan's watching, of course. Yeah, is PMD not commentating? Hopefully we'll have PMD back in the booth shortly. Yeah, she did give up the center control. Maybe one day soon. Winky face. But another thing we're hopeful of PMD is maybe some PMD tournaments. I know PMD is obviously a very busy man. Very busy guy. So it's always an honor and a pleasure to see him, even in the chat. Even better to just see him commentating. But even best would be maybe we get to see some PMD games. PMD is a very strong player, but I imagine he doesn't play too much OTB. But maybe he does. Maybe he could surprise me. I wouldn't say chess sucks, Daniel. I disagree with that. I think chess is great. And I think losing is part of the process. Because if you only like chess when you're winning, you don't really like chess. You just like winning. And if you just like winning, then chess is actually a pretty bad game to play. Maybe you could play like against Martin, which, Alex does that, it seems. No offense to Martin Bot, of course. But I think chess, it's like a relationship. It's like life. You got to take it when it's good and when it's bad. Discuss. I love this. Doesn't losing feel worse than how winning feels good? That is definitely a point I've heard before, that like when people lose, they feel so bad that even when you win, it doesn't make up for that bad feeling when you lose. I think it all comes down to the pressure that you feel. And I don't think really there shouldn't be much external pressure. The pressure you feel really is coming from within. So if you feel really bad when you lose, I think it's a mindset. It's a mentality. It's this internal struggle that you're experiencing. Because at the end of the day, like my perspective, and this is just me, of course, and how I feel in my opinion, but like I don't think losing is that big of a deal. I think that losing is very natural in chess, especially. And I think that losing is an opportunity to improve and to learn. And that I think has helped me not feel so bad about losing. And then in turn, when you win, it feels good, right? And that's how I managed to, not beat myself up for losing. I think losing sucks when, you're feeling like you're winning, you're better, and then you like squander it. But sometimes you just play a game and your opponent played really well, right? And it's like, okay, maybe you could have done a couple things differently, better here and there. But, it's like sometimes you'll miss something that you're like, I wouldn't have seen that or played that, and I can just kind of tip my hat to my opponent and give them credit. This game, like, there's definitely been moments where Alex could have done better, right? But I don't think the opponent has really made any major mistakes. And the higher up in rating you go, the harder it is to find mistakes in your opponent's play. And that's why the top players really have to fight tooth and nail for every minute advantage. That's why people are memorizing 20 plus lines out of the opening. But if you're not a GM, like, yeah, Alex could have had a better opening for sure. And really it's kind of like the opening principles, the basics, like trying to better control the center. I think she played a couple inaccuracies and didn't really press the opponent, and the opponent has been able to take advantage of that. And like this is a newer opening, I guess, for Alex, so you can't really beat yourself up too much, right? It's all learning. Like I've played openings where I'm literally trying to figure out theory on the spot live during the game. And you know, should I beat myself up if I lose? Probably I should be like, why am I playing a new opening out of the gate? Like I had zero prep work essentially. Opponents play the best move yet again, knight to g5. So yeah, I mean, dude's playing great. Man's playing some good chess right now. Anyways, um, every time you play OTB, you have the pressure of Joe. Here's what I've said before. I think like these streamers, they have fans and supporters and people that will watch them and people that just like them for who they are as people. And I know for a fact if Alex was doing something else or playing a different game, there'd be still a lot of you in chat watching, maybe just being curious or just generally supportive. I think you guys are really nice and kind, and like I can't say enough kind things about a lot of you guys, and I think a lot of you will continue watching regardless of the outcome of the game, win, draw, or loss. A lot of you are going to be back for round 4, right? Myself included. I mean, I'm not commentating round 4, but I'm definitely supporting in spirit. And yeah, if she loses today and she wins round 4, you'll know it's because of me. So, because she loses when I'm here and wins when I'm not. It's like that's a clear pattern. And if there's anything about us chess players, we can recognize a pattern for sure. And you don't know if I was watching or not for rounds 1 or 2, but you can extrapolate based off of that information and be like, okay, she won round 1, but she lost round 2. Check the chat logs. Where was Joe? Where was Joe when she lost and when she won? Anyways, I'm just joking again. What are their OTB ratings? So Alex is unrated and opponent is 1730. Okay, what has she done? What move did she just make? We've got the blurry pieces again. Okay, she played knight to b4. Okay. That's an interesting move. Knight to b4. My concern though is there's like knight e6, right? That looks very strong. So her idea with knight b4 is that she's attacking the knight, the bishop. If knight takes, then she wants to play knight takes bishop. That's her point. Oscar can't handle the praise. Well, you've earned the VIP badge for some reason. Yeah, this is exciting for her for sure. Her first one was great. I mean, she didn't play perfectly either. She blundered a piece in a sacrifice, but the opponent bought it. Didn't realize. I like to say blunders come in pairs for whatever reason. So a lot of chess can come down to like a mutual understanding of the position. Like you kind of give your opponent some level of respect in the thought process, right? Like every move should have a logical meaning or follow up or idea, right? And so when your opponent makes a move, a lot of your response is figuring out what it is that they're trying to do, right? So when Alex played her knight sacrifice, the opponent respected it enough to not take it, actually, which caused them to lose. They should have taken it. They should have accepted it because they had a defense, but they didn't see it. And maybe they didn't see it because they assumed Alex's calculations were correct and that she saw something, right? And then he's like, oh, what does she see? Oh, yeah, I'm going to get mated if I take this. I see that too. And then maybe you're not looking as hard as you should be for a defense. Like, can I actually take this? Is their calculation right? You really have to double check their work, right? You have to be inquisitive. You can't be completely trusting. And here it seems opponent's doing his work right now. He's doing a lot of calculation. Knight b4 has been played. So the best move, it likes knight takes e7, which is also pretty brutal, actually. Knight takes, and there's queen takes knight. Let me calculate. Let's calculate this. Knight takes hits the queen. Queen takes c2. Queen takes d7. And then what can we do? Okay, opponent just takes the knight. Does not take on e7. So he does not find the best move. Takes, and now she's going to take here for sure. There's still rook takes e7. And that's going to be, I guess, a third pawn. Yeah, let's see. No, this is... One pawn? 2 pawns, yeah. Yeah, she just takes back the bishop. Always sack. Yeah, knight takes was missed. This guy is simplifying pieces off. Yeah, I was definitely concerned about 96 as well, which might still be possible, actually. Well, no, knight takes. Now here, there's this. Yeah, she's hanging in there. She's sticking with it. Rook takes e7 though, so definitely we're not gonna see 96. We're definitely gonna see rook takes e7, right? Her whole game, the e-pawn hasn't. E-pawn's gonna die right where it started on e7. But you know, she might have something, guys. I don't know. But okay, this knight and bishop are annoying for sure. This is a good bishop. That's one heck of a piece right there. So let's not give up on it quite yet. Guy hasn't taken the pawn yet. Also, we're getting low on time. Both players less than 20 minutes. The pace might pick up a little bit here. Knight takes h7 is the third best move, but it's an interesting sacrifice. But yeah, best is to just take e7, just rook takes. Free pawn. Getting a rook to the 7th, overprotecting the f pawn. You can't ask for much more. Activating a rook. It's a good move. So if knight takes h7, if king takes, there's queen h5, which is pretty sick. Bishop block, queen takes, and sayonara, GG. So the guy might be considering that. It's kind of a fun move to make. The defense is you play rook takes f7. Bishop takes. It likes rook f2. I guess. I don't know. But okay. Yeah, that's really tempting too. The struggle is that you have multiple ways to win for white. It's what's taking him so long. Okay, and he's done a very simple bishop to b3 move. So, not nearly as good as these other two moves. And now, imagine she plays e5 now. No, it wouldn't be best, though. Best is queen f5, right? You've been given the square. Why not just take it? And yeah, I mean, the guy's been playing pretty lights out, pretty perfectly. But he's also had a lot of time on his clock. Alex plays a lot of speed chess, so we could be entering her domain. Shouldn't be illegal to play against a sleeping opponent. You're allowed to sleep. OTB. If it was illegal to play against a sleeping opponent, you could weaponize sleeping, which I never thought I'd say. But it's like, oh, I'm losing. Time to take a nap. Now you're losing. No, that's ridiculous. I don't think she's napping, you guys. She's not. I might be napping. Hard to tell. All right, opponent makes his move on the board and then makes his move away from the board. And now he's circling the board like a shark. Just watching, waiting ominously. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Bishop B3 though. Like what an interesting move. Right? I like A5. I had pointed at this earlier. A5 is a good move. E5 legitimately is a good move. Best is queen f5. Queen f5, get the queen out, connect the rooks, attack that knight. Attack the knight, attack the f pawn, get your queen, around this king, right? The bishop here was really helpful in a lot of these tactics. Like we're looking at knight h7 tactics. We were looking at bishop here in some lines, right? Here, and we're attacking the knight. If the knight goes here, we could damage the pawn structure. I mean, we don't necessarily want to trade queens, but there's tactics in there. There's tactical ideas. And okay, she has not played queen f5. She's played the move queen to c5, and this is what we call a fork. Actually, which should have been the first thing I should have even considered. The move here is queen to g4, a counter fork for white, forking their own knights, defending both. What else is there? Queen to d2 also defends both knights. This is like Alex's first attacking move she's played. So, and that's like why knight or bishop to b3 is just kind of odd, right? It's like, okay, your pawn was already defended. I don't know. She's also walking into a fork, but she wants to take both knights for one rook. There's like rook takes b7 still, actually. I mean, there's a lot of ways for white to win, but there's even more ways to mess up. There's always ways to mess up, for sure. So white played an off move, still very much winning, right? But Alex is posing a question. She's fighting. She's not giving up. She's trying. And white has to, still convert. And, I mean, his leg is shaking. His clock is ticking. Okay, he's made his move. Knight to e6. Are you serious, dude? Did this guy just blunder? This could be her comeback. He's going for the fort, but he's going to give up two knights for one rook. Yeah, she gobbles that up instantly. Knight here, queen. Look at the eval drop. Is this guy gonna take the rook? I mean, presumably. This is ridiculous, you guys. So much life has just been breathed into the position after this guy. I mean, talk about hope and optimism. Yeah, he takes the rook, but now she's going to take back. So she gets 2 knights for 1 rook. Huge moment. Yeah, queen c5 was great. And yeah, Cozy Loper pointing out the knight b4 move. So she's posing problems for this guy. This guy is not dealing well. It could be the time pressure. It could be, nervousness in general, right? He might have more pressure now on himself to succeed. And it's causing him to miss things, right? Like he had such a beautiful sequence that Daniel pointed out, knight takes h7. He had rook takes e7. She takes back with the rook. Yeah, we've made some tremendous progress. He's played a blunder knight e6. And she has life. She has hope, a whole new position in front of us here. Still, white is for choice. Rook takes f8, and her queen, by the way, is protecting e7 now. So there's no rook takes anymore. Yeah, rook takes f8, played. I'm trying to sync the video and the board a bit more. It's been getting out of sync a little bit. What move is this? This is move 24 that they're on. 14 minutes to 11 minutes. So these players, they've been spending a lot of time actually just to move 24. It's not that much. So, okay, material count, opponent is up +1. A3 has been played, not terrible. A computer likes queen h4. I'm just thinking we want to stick around this pawn, right? Queen h4 is such a nice move. But my initial thoughts, I'm looking at c5, but of course queen c5, we're inviting rook c1. Maybe then, though, we can get to g5, actually. But yeah, computer still likes queen g4 as a move. I think, well, now trading actually queens is kind of dangerous to do. But yeah, this f pawn is still very annoying. This e pawn is also annoying. So there's queen f4 as well, it's saying. Queen f4, are we trying to go here? Oh my goodness. Holy smokes, you guys. Alex might be cooking. Holy smokes, folks. We're in for a treat. I mean, we always were. But I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Things were looking rough. You guys saw what I saw. Right? I mean, this guy had her on the ropes. And again, the opening, it doesn't even matter. She's balanced it out. And she's just moments away from potentially creating an attack with her queen. The a3, I mean, it's a move. It hits the queen, but like that queen was not meant to be on b4. The queen landed on b4 in the process of taking a knight and gaining material. But b4 is not the queen's final form. The queen is meant for better, stronger things, and a3 is just helping her queen realize its full potential. Like right now, the queen is a princess, and it's about to, she's going to show us the true meaning of royalty. Put that queen on the king side. Oh no, she's offering a queen trade. I lied. Well, we'll see. Queen d6. Yeah, queen takes. I mean, maybe she's trying to play for d5, but gosh, you guys, having an open position with the bishop pair, it's a beautiful thing. And I like leaving queens. I don't like trading queens, so I don't know. Maybe she's trying to go. There were better ways to do this. She had queen f4, queen g or h4. I don't know. She was thinking about this maybe and didn't like that. A rook coming with tempo. But to be fair, the opponent might be scared of trading queens. Opponent might not want to. But I don't know. Might be worried about this pawn is hit. Nah, he trades queens. It's the best move. She has to take back pre-move. And she does. Rook e8, but the rook is defended. But yeah, rook e8's a good move. And white can double their rooks. Rook e8's the top move here. She commentated too much for Phoebe, yeah. I was thinking rook e7 is kind of annoying. But yeah, you don't want to go into an endgame. You got two pieces for a rook, but you've given up how many pawns? Well, I guess you're down 2 pawns. It's not great. Yeah, rook e8's played. So he has played rook to e8. There it is on the board. So best move is bishop to c6. Controlling e8. It's very logical. And the best move actually is to still double the rooks, crazy as that sounds. Rook a to e1. So if takes, you queen. Takes, pretty brutal stuff. So there's no taking. Yeah, she wanted to play for d5, I could tell. So she's played d5. She cuts the bishop off. But now there's rook c1. And it looks like that's what he's played. And the threat there, I don't know, just rook c7, maybe. And now he gets up. We had him, Alex. Why'd you trade queens? Yeah, watching too much Phoebe, maybe. I don't know. I was so optimistic. What a roller coaster. The highs and the lows. It's game over, says Daniel. No, it's far from over. It is not over. But man, I hate that she traded queens. It could have been so good, you guys. Her bishops were so good. And now there's like no hope. I mean, there's always hope. The guy messed up earlier. He can mess up again. But she let him off the hook for sure. The queen's on. I was thinking of all these different mating like looking at queen f4 was very interesting because you give up that e pawn, but then you get that bishop into e5, threatening mate or something. And if g3, then your bishop also cuts the rook off. You can play queen to e4 there, and that looks just monstrous. But I don't know. She'll be kicking herself. Well, it's part of the learning process, right? So rook c1 played, and yeah, her queen, dude. She traded queens, man. It's crazy. But yeah. She wasn't doing too hot, and part of it is like that psychology. It's like you know you're losing. But then she's like gifted an opportunity on a silver platter. She gets 2 knights for 1 rook. And then you have to switch your thought process from, okay, I'm losing. I need to defend. I need to get these pieces off the board. And change to, okay, I'm actually in a great opportunity here to start going on the offensive. Okay, bishop h6 is an interesting idea. She wants to bring her king to g7. But yeah, I think rook c7 is a good move still. So that's probably what he should do. It's probably what he was aiming to do. What was the best move here? Knight to c8. Okay, I guess we're going to d6. It's very interesting. Yeah, knight c8 would have been a cool try. Yeah, she's just hitting the rook. The rook is going to get invited. The rook wanted to go in. And here he goes. Rook c7 played. And now what? Rook c7. They're going to have to play bishop to a8. Bishop to a8. Luckily, the knight's defended. But I mean, bishop a8, you've got time to like wrap around, attack the knight from the side. If the knight ever moves, I mean, the bishop's falling, right? Oh, it's so hard, you guys. It's difficult. Yeah, she's played bishop a8. But it's going to be slow and painful death unless this guy messes up. What move are we on? 29. Is there extra time added, you guys? Is there a bonus time? I didn't think so. $30 at move 40. That's good to know. But yeah, they've got 11 moves left. Yeah, he's played it. Rook A7. It's a nice move. And it's the best move. It's what I was looking at, right? How do you defend your A pawn or the knight? She might play King G7 now, but what does that really do, you know? I don't know. Yeah, it looks like she's played King G7. But just you could trade rooks now and then take the A pawn, and that should be pretty much GG. She's gonna lose a piece. Uh-oh, the video died. We might have had resignation and then she ended early. Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to confirm. You think she turned it off? Can you see her in Phoebe stream? Help her. I don't what can I do, pizza? The game's over. Well, let's see if we can get an interview. But let's go from the start. Let's see this game. Rocky start. A Sicilian. Castles. And yeah, bishop back. She should play e5 right now, actually. Like, as soon as this bishop's back, this is extremely telegraphed. We should understand that d4 is coming. And we want to make life difficult for our opponent, and we want to control the center of the board. So e5 would be good. Didn't do it. d4 should be played now by white. They didn't do it. This is an opportunity for her to play e5 again. Didn't do it. And now d4. Here, I'm an advocate against taking this pawn because we're helping white develop the knight into the center. And here she should have played b5. This is even a lesson for me to understand that we're making life difficult. As even though we've given the knight the c3 square, doesn't mean that we have to let them go there comfortably. Yeah, Alex is confirming that she'll call in a moment. And yeah, here, bishop out is fine. Bishop here, and again, we should play for e5. We should be fighting for the center. We should be preventing their pieces from moving. And, you know, we just hit with a tempo. So we play this move instead. This is a question mark move. Definitely don't feel good about this. And now white plays e5. We should bring the knight to h5, I think. Maybe, but bishop h2, I don't know. Our knight's maybe not feeling great there, so who knows. Knight d7, probably fine. Or, you know, we could try this rook fd8 move, trying to get a tempo and get some pressure. Queen gets hit, we go back. e6 is a great move. We probably should have taken it. Didn't. Here, again, probably should take this, but didn't. But, I mean, it's scary either way. We lose this. Knight back, and now here's where I think Alex has a fortune change. She starts playing well here. Knight to b4 is a very good try. Takes, and now this is a big mistake, which allows queen c5, and this is necessarily not terrible. White has a few moves to defend both knights, like queen here, queen here. Didn't do either of them, and instead blunders. This is now in a great opportunity for Alex to start putting the pressure on her opponent. And I think this really is kind of the last mistake. So let's see. We've got her on the interview now. Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Hi.
How are you?
I've been better.
It's okay.
How are you?
I'm good. So I'm just adding you on the stream right now. Your camera froze a little bit.
An
Nope, you're
enjoyable
back.
game.
Yeah, it had some ups and downs, some crazy
Hi,
turns.
everyone. Hi.
Um, First off, how are you feeling?
Okay, I'm feeling a little bit frustrated because I felt like he played such a weird opening that just that bishop d3 just blocking his own pawn just was so behind the development. I was thinking, okay, I'm so much better here. I really have to get to make something happen, or that's what I thought. And then I have no idea where everything went wrong. I just
All right,
I don't know
well,
how it went
I I
so
will
bad.
be I'll be pleased
Hello,
to
everyone.
teach you. So, okay, first and
Okay.
foremost, how often do you play the Sicilian?
This is my first time playing the Sicilian, like in a serious game, so to speak. I'm still learning.
And I mean, well, how many serious games have you played?
Not many.
Exactly. So we can give you some leeway and some credit there because you're still learning just in general, I would say. But C3 is a common response to the Sicilian. You know the Alapin or no?
Yeah.
So a lot of
Yes.
times, um, you could sort of tell. Are you watching the stream at all or the game?
Yes. Yes. I'm looking at the stream.
Okay. So your opponent tried to trick you into taking this pawn, right? But obviously you have this queen fork, right? So you develop the knight to c6, which blocks their check, and now it renews the threat on the e pawn. So how would you have defended the e pawn if you had the white pieces?
Maybe D3.
So d3
I don't
is,
know.
yeah. So why do people play c3 in the Sicilian? What's the point of c3?
I mean, in this case, you're defending the pawn, but you're not blocking your own pieces, I assume, right? I don't
Well,
know.
so the whole
Is
point of
it? Yeah, go
okay,
ahead.
like in the Sicilian, normally the main line they'll play d4 right away, right?
Yeah.
You'll take their knight takes, and you could go into like a knight orf or whatever. But when you play c3, it's because you're trying to play the move d4, right? So this is super important to realize. That's why you're never defending the e pawn with d3. D3 and your c3 move is kind of a waste. The c3 pawn's blocking your knight, your d3 pawn's blocking your bishop, um, and you don't want to defend the e pawn with like your queen. So bishop on d3 is actually the best move here, and this is pretty common. The point is that the bishop will go back to c2, which is also why the pawn's on c3. And then white will play for d4 in one move. There's no d3, d4 later, right? Because once the pawn's on d3, then it's very difficult to defend the e pawn with anything else, unless you're gonna use your queen for it or something. But this is something I want you to like at least recognize. And now that you've seen it, you could be prepared for like these c3 moves in the future. This is the Alapin Sicilian, the c3 Sicilian, essentially. So this is not a bad
But it
move.
was delayed, right? Because when
Yeah, it
I
is
had
delayed.
something prepared against it, if it was on move two, if
Yeah,
since
then
it
you
was
would
move
play
three,
d5
yeah,
immediately, right?
yeah, exactly,
So
yeah.
that's a really important note. C3 is fairly common, like people know to play d5, and so this is why it's kind of interesting that he plays knight f3 first, then c3. I think that's kind of smart. It's pretty tricky, right? Because you don't have d5 anymore against the c3 Sicilian. So the thing that I want you to take away from the opening is that when the bishop comes back to c2 and the pawn can push to
Yeah.
d4, you really need to play e5. And e5 is going to be such an important move for you in so many situations, but you should be anticipating d4. And like, I don't know if you want me to like lecture you right now about all this. But
No, this is, I mean, I shouldn't be too upset because I'm still learning. I did look at e5 at this point. Um, so for some reason I felt like it wasn't the correct move. I don't know, blocking the bishop and all, but yeah, I guess
well, you have
I
to
should study more.
you need to anticipate d4, and so e5 will help
Yeah,
you. It's not so much like about blocking your bishop, it's more just like controlling the center. You're fighting for the center, and if you don't play
yeah,
e5, then he controls the center. d4 is a very strong move. I would not take this pawn because you're allowing them to take back, and now they have c3 again for their knight. So playing c3,
yeah.
the reason why it's not the main line is because it blocks the knight, right? Like it's not ideal. So by taking,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting rid of their disadvantage, and you're helping them a lot. So the computer likes b5 actually. And b5 seems random, but it'll make sense after you see this move in the game. You take on d4, which is still fine. But now guess where the knight wants to go, right? c3. If you play b5, he's going to think again about playing knight c3 because then you're just going to play b4, right?
Yeah, you know what? I did look at b5 here, and yeah, again, I did not play it because I had this idea of this going b5 in more of a closed position. But then again, I'm not used to this. So what did I play here?
Just
I don't know,
b6.
b6.
Yeah, now knight
Yeah,
c3, bishop b7, and then bishop out. And again, you should play e5. This is like your last chance to play e5.
yeah,
And there's a lot of reasons why you play e5. First, you get a tempo against the bishop, but you also block their e pawn, and their e pawn is being stared at by like three of their pieces, right? So if they move the e pawn, then they have so much potential for all their piece play increases a lot by pushing their e pawn. So if you push your e pawn, you're blocking their e pawn, and you're fighting for the center again, which is going to help you keep space on the board. You were worried about knight to b5, and you play a6, which is not good. Uh, Even though you take away knight b5, they're just going to steamroll you in the center. So they don't even care about knight b5. They play e5, and now here you're just in a world of hurt. Knight back to d7. They should play e6 right away, but knight d5 is still a very good move. And like the worry about knight b5 is it's like it hits your queen, right? So you don't want to move your queen, but
yeah,
by pushing e5, they kick away your knight, and they're gonna kick away your queen anyways. So a6 didn't help you, because they get knight d5 and you have to move the queen anyways. And now e6 is just such a strong move. It's great. Like they're getting coordination on c7. They're messing with your king safety. They're hitting your knight again. Like it's just a beautiful move. So your opponent's like really playing very well. Here you should take, but it's very scary, right? It's not easy to defend this no matter what you do. So knight c5 is fine. Bishop c7 is great. Uh, Taking, probably you should take, but again, it's like the difference is very small, so it's tough either way. Like it's all scary. King in the corner, and now they take on b6, which is best. Your knight's hit, which is also again scary. It wants you to play knight e6 here. Um, because you're guarding against like knight g5. Uh, but it's not easy still. Knight
Yeah.
d7, you're attacking the bishop. They play knight to g5 now, threatening knight e6. Here's where I think you started getting some opportunities. You were creative. I liked your knight b4 idea. This was pretty smart.
Okay.
They should have taken on e7. Uh, and like you would have or could have, you know, gotten into a lot of
Yeah.
pain, I think. I don't know. It's tricky. Like basically knight takes e7, you have queen takes c2, they have queen takes d7, and who knows what's happening really. I don't know. It's a mess, but they take, you take, and again here they should just take on e7, or I don't even know if you noticed knight takes h7 was a scary move.
Yeah.
Very scary for
The
sure.
bishop sacrifice also was kind of scary. That's something. I don't know if
Yeah,
it was ever
it's all
good.
scary.
My bishop takes
Even just
g6.
like
Yeah,
moving their
it's
queen
terrible.
somewhere, I don't know. But they messed up. This is like their first like non-aggressive move. They played bishop to b3, and now you have an opportunity to fight. Um, so
Really.
now you can dictate. Well, it's still very much winning for white, but you put the pressure on them. You played a fork, right? And they should react to the fork by defending both knights. They had two moves that did that: queen to d2 or queen to g4, and they did neither. They messed up. And here I'm sure you must have felt very optimistic. They played knight e6, which is a blunder. They're forking your rook and queen, but they're dropping both knights for one
It's a
rook.
blunder.
You must have known
Ah.
this, right? You win two knights for one rook. You take on
Yeah,
b4.
I imagine that was good.
You take back on f8. Yeah, and here, like, this open position is so good. I mean, your bishop is so beautiful. Your other bishop is so beautiful. You have the bishop pair. I mean, you're getting crushed like the whole game until this moment. I was so saddened by the queen trade.
It's so. And then I thought about Queen H4. Was that the best?
Yeah, queen h4 is the
Or
best. It also likes queen f4.
oh, damn it! I saw it after I played, and then once I offered the trade of queens, I was like, just
Well,
instant
you
regret.
should never trade queens here because you are still technically behind in material. You don't want to go into the end game. You need because look at how strong the bishop is, right? You need you need the queen to really take full advantage of your strong bishop.
Yeah,
So you need to
yeah,
keep the queen. You need to move the queen to the king side because that's going to help you stir up trouble and create issues. And they're going to have to be defending, right? So you should use the momentum from your fork and winning two knights for the rook to try to stir up more trouble and create more problems. They're going to create more blunders. You're going to get more material back. This is your best chance to
yeah.
fight is to keep the queens on and continue fighting. So anything besides a queen trade here. After you trade queens, it was pretty lights out. It's very difficult now for you to play. Rook e8.
Hmm.
It wants you to play bishop c6. Yeah, you push the pawn, and now their other rook gets into the game. They could double rooks. Rook c1's even better. Just you have no activity anymore. So with the queens on, you fight, and with the queens off, you're dead at this point. So this was very difficult to come back from, unfortunately. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
And I saw
excited.
Queen H4. I saw Queen H4 right after I played the move, but I felt the pressure of the clock as well.
Yeah, so two key moments here. One, as you already know,
Hmm.
the queen trade was bad. But the second one,
Yeah,
and
I figured.
I would argue maybe more important for this game in particular is you never played your e pawn. Like you needed
Yeah.
e5 so many times. Uh just understanding the idea between like c3 and d4 and like why the bishop goes back. Like bishop, you're thinking to yourself, oh, the bishop's blocking the pawn. That's so bad, right? The bishop's so bad on d3. Well, after they play the bishop on c2, it should ring some bells. Like, okay, that makes sense. They want to play d4 now. The pawn's no longer blocked, and they played c3, and so d4 is logically coming. So you should have played e5 even before castling. But this is more
Okay.
specific to just like the opening theory of the Sicilian and
Yeah.
c3. I actually take back what I said was more important. Probably like understanding not trading queens is probably the biggest takeaway of this game, I guess. Because you're down material, and that activity that you get from your queen is invaluable. So trading the queens off, and now their
Yeah.
rooks really shine, and your pieces die essentially. So you lose all
Yeah.
coordination. Your queen coordinates really well with your bishops in attacking things and stirring up trouble, and they're gonna have to react and defend. But once you trade the queens, they don't have to do that anymore. Now they can focus their energy on bringing their rooks in, and they'll just decimate your position. Yeah, I'm done talking
Yeah.
now. So,
No, that was really good. Thank you. That's a great analysis.
um,
Uh,
yeah,
all concepts I mean, I'm of course familiar with E4 in the Sicilian, but for whatever reason, I guess the positions that I studied, I don't usually have a bishop on G7. I don't know what it was. I looked at it several times and I thought if they push E5, I thought that I was fine because I calculated. I spent like 20 minutes on the move at some point. Um, but yeah, I'm not used to this opening, so this is how you learn
yeah,
from
and
your
that's totally
mistakes.
fine. And like I don't know the Sicilian that well myself, so I don't know if e5 is necessarily something you want to go for every time. But I just know that white wants to play
Yeah,
d4, and a lot of like playing with the black pieces is just not helping your opponent get what they want, right? So like that time when they finally did play d4, I know that when you play c takes d4, it helps them a lot because then they get that c3 square for their knight. So just trying not to like play into what your opponent wants is generally helpful. And like
mhm.
I think that otherwise you're playing a great event. I think that first game I watched was just absolutely incredible. Even though you didn't play
Oh,
perfectly,
thank you.
right? You still were able to put yourself into a position where you could force your opponent to mess up, blunder, and take advantage of it. This game, you had a very similar opportunity where once you got those two knights for the rook, your queen was very active, and you wanted to keep that activity, and
Yeah,
then you could have pressured your. I think you very well could have won that game. Like I don't think your opponent was that much stronger than you. Like they had a much better opening, but they were not able
yeah,
to convert it smoothly. They were messing up at the end, and trading the queens was unfortunate. But I think that you're surprising a lot of people because you're unrated, and you're very strong, and I was praising you very highly throughout, saying like you've come a long way. I think you're very
uh,
impressive. All the things that you're doing, like streaming,
thank
posting on Instagram, the socials, like it's very fun to watch you
you.
and cheer for you and support you. And I love that you're still
uh,
improving and taking the loss in stride, because I think you're very close to making this breakthrough, and I'm excited to see more tournaments after this. This tournament's not even over. So thank you, Alex, for the opportunity.
That's
I
so
really enjoyed
sweet.
it. And yeah,
You're
we're
gonna
looking
make me
forward to the
cry,
next game.
Joe. What's going on? Wait, oh, that's very sweet. Thank you. Thank you so much for doing commentary. Yeah, and despite my misunderstanding of what was going on, I hope it was still enjoyable and you had
Oh,
fun.
we
You and Chet
were we were
together.
all
So
cheering
yeah,
for you so much after their blunder.
thank you.
It was so exciting. We thought you had it in the bag. We thought, okay, the comeback is happening now. It's real. So very close, and hope you're having
Yeah.
fun with all the other streamers. It looks like a blast, and I definitely am
Hmm.
missing out. So
Well, maybe not as much as you think, because everyone's very focused and
yeah,
studying a lot and prepping a lot. So
well,
yeah,
hopefully you'll get some more wins and
yeah.
enjoy the rest of your time there. I guess you're back in your. It's not your home country. I saw you're repping the Romanian flag, but someone said you're supposed to be repping Portugal. Is that true?
Yes, I am. And they told me initially that I couldn't, and I found out this morning that I actually could. And they told me if I want to, I can change it.
Okay.
So now I'm kind of like, what do I do? Do I play half of the tournament for one country and the other half for another? It's a whole moral dilemma. I don't know.
Does it matter? I don't think it changes too much,
Does
right?
it? I don't know.
Well, I'm sure it's
Yeah.
it's good to be back in Portugal, and I'm sure you're also
Yeah,
helping
that's for
translate
sure.
for people.
For sure. Yes, a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
I
Yeah.
I will have to come visit sometime, but not this time.
Yes,
Opportunity
please.
missed. But okay, I'll let you get going. I guess maybe we can find someone to raid. But thank you once again, and good luck in the rest of your games.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this, and thank you everyone for the support. Let's see who's still playing. Is I don't know, is Anna Maya still playing? Maybe not. I don't think she is. Is Hannah still playing?
Hannah is still playing, yes.
Yes, she is. So I'm gonna Hannah. Yeah. So I will do
I
it
see
on my
Summers.
channel.
I'm gonna raid Gremlin actually because
Okay.
she's commentating. I don't know if I've seen her.
Actually, wait. I will read the same person as you.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that makes much more sense. My bad.
No, it's not your
My
bad.
bad.
I mean,
I'm not used to doing this. You know, it's my first time.
no,
Wait,
no,
wait,
it's
wait.
not.
I will read the
There's
same
no
person.
there's no
That makes
no
more
way to go
sense.
wrong. I mean, I should have followed you with your raid and support Hannah, of
No, no,
course.
no. You did me a favor. Okay, that's better. That makes me feel
It's
better. Okay. All right.
there's no right or wrong answer.
I'll
So-
I will leave the call and then you can close the stream if you like.
okay.
So thank you once again for doing
Yeah,
this. Really appreciate it.
thank you and have a good rest of your day. Take care. Bye everyone.
Thank
Thanks for
you too.
watching.
Bye everyone.